Okay, so picture this. You're sitting there, watching the XO5 event, Microsoft yearly event where they present games and whatnot until 2019, and suddenly this appears. A world premiere by BioWare, creators of Baldur's Gate, creators of KOTOR. Oh, this is gonna be good. And then it hits you. Mass Effect, a new franchise that was created with the idea of being a trilogy. People were excited, and during the subsequent years, demos and trailers would be released, which would end up winning multiple awards. And then 2007 comes, specifically July 2007. The A3, made rest in peace, is happening. Thousands of people are watching, expectant of new games. And then BioWare shows the latest trailer for its new IP, and a month later, in August, the release date will be shown. November 20th, 2007, with Jennifer Hale, who already had a name in the industry, voicing characters like Trinity, Black Cat, Naomi Hunter, and Emma Emmerich, and even Samus. People saw that BioWare were putting lots of money into the project. Drew Karpyshyn was writing the story, the mastermind behind KOTOR, Jedi Empire, and most of Baldur's Gate. People had many reasons to be excited. And then it came out. And on that fateful day of November 20th, people didn't know this at the time, but that date would be the start of one of the greatest gaming trilogies of all time, and my favorite video game franchise, and history would be made. This is the story of the Mass Effect trilogy. Hello, it is I, Pointless Hub's long lost brother, only Cuban. So, now that it was announced that the team behind the Fallout series was also gonna be behind the new live action Mass Effect series, I thought it was a good time to talk about something I'm extremely passionate about, and that's the Mass Effect trilogy. No, I'm not including Andromeda here, we're only gonna talk about the basic main trilogy and the comics and novels that are either in between or before and after. So just know what you're going to get. So let's begin with. Published in May 2007, this novel serves as the prequel to Mass Effect 1, telling the story of our beloved Captain David Anderson in his journey to save Kaylee Sanders, who we see in Mass Effect 3, and of the Spectre that would later become the main antagonist of the first Mass Effect, being obviously Saren. The novel starts with the actual origins of the intergalactic adventures of humans, when they discover in Mars an archive with protein information, enough to advance their technology hundreds of years. It is with this technology that in 2149, only 1 year after the discovery of the archives, humanity finds out that one of the moons of Pluto is actually a mass relay, an intergalactic device that allows travel between different solar systems. So they decide to send a team of brave astronauts, led by John Grissom, to explore space. But not all is good, as just 8 years after the discovery of the mass relay, humanity encounters the Turians, and they fight in Shangxi, and would become what was known as the First Contact War. Mentioned multiple times throughout the games, it is kind of funny that the reason that there was a war in the first place was because the Turians decided to shoot instead of talk, as they usually do, so a war broke out. It is then when Grissom decides to talk to Anderson, a recently graduated N7, to help with the war effort. The war lasted for months, and funnily enough, you would think that humans lost more than the Turians did, but it was the opposite, with confirmed 623 humans dead and slightly more Turians. The Council decided to step in and stop the war, and it was through them that humanity would learn of the galaxy they were in, and the dozens of species that they would find across the galaxy, and of the main hub of said galaxy, the Citadel. 8 years later, Anderson then receives a distress call from Sidon. When Anderson and his crew get there, they find mercenaries and dead scientists, with evidence suggesting that they were betrayed from within. It is then that at Elysium, which should ring a bell, Kaylee Sanders has gone AWOL with important data, with the objective of reporting her superiors for illegal research. This goes without saying, but multiple people throughout the galaxy did not want those files to go public. It turns out that the facility on Sidon was studying AI, which is highly illegal under intergalactic law after the Quarren War, which we'll talk about later. The representative at the time, Anita Goyle, sends Anderson to locate Kaylee, as she may have information on the research and on the location of Dr. Shu Qian, the scientist in charge. Anderson tracks Kaylee to Elysium, finding John Grissom there, now retired, who happens to be Kaylee's dad, which is funny because that's never mentioned in the games. Grissom tells him that he sent her far away from Elysium to be safe, which turned out to be a lie, and both were in that house, as they'd get discovered by some hunters that what Kaylee did. Saren then appears and drives Kaylee's hunters away. He's a specter, and above the law vigilante, that the council gives everything they have so that they can preserve the peace in the galaxy. Saren interrogates Kaylee, who lies and tells him that they were studying biotics, because if she revealed the truth, then the Alliance would be in danger. That it matters because that information gets to the council in no time, but Anita manages to get the Alliance off with just a slap on the wrist. Kaylee tells the truth to Anderson and reveals that the traitor was Dr. Qian himself. They had found a machine, an artifact of some sort that was even older than the Proteans, this artifact being sovereign, obviously. You can guess where this is going now. He was obviously indoctrinated. The council sends Saren after a rich Batarian that had been working with Dr. Qian, and Anita sends Anderson with him as a Spectre candidate. Now obviously things don't go as planned, and Saren uses the fact that Kaylee was to be smuggled offboard as a lure. The enemy captures Kaylee to help with Dr. Qian's research. Anderson is furious with Saren, and we know he has a deep hatred for humanity after losing his brother in the contact war. But David isn't stupid. He knows he needs Saren to track Kaylee and rescue her. As they are about to rescue her, unknown to Anderson, Saren's plans were to steal Dr. Qian's research, so he kills the doctor, he kills the Batarian, and blows the building not before reluctantly giving Anderson enough time to save Kaylee. As they go back to the Citadel, it is revealed that Saren gave a damning report about Anderson's conduct during the attack, meaning that the council couldn't have a human Spectre just yet, as mentioned in Mass Effect 1, if you pressure Anderson enough. Anderson and Kaylee part ways, and Saren spends his days studying their research and becoming quite obsessed with Sovereign, wanting to use it to enact his revenge on humanity. It's an extremely well-written novel, and I recommend it to everyone, especially the fans of the games obviously, though I don't even know if you can find it anywhere. I couldn't find most of the comics I'm going to comment next. It's not too long, it only has 300 pages or so, but it gives a background to the original Mass Effect and makes Saren much more interesting as a character.
Cerberus isn't as evil as you believe. You and I are on the same side, we just have different methods.
Published in 2010, Mass Effect Evolution gives a much more detailed telling of the war in Shanxi and the entire Contact War. Now, I'm not gonna go too much into detail here. It has amazing art and it includes little pieces of lore like Ashley Williams' grandfather and the whole ordeal of him surrendering. It also shows the past of Tim, or the Elusive Man, known during this time as Jack Harper, who was under the command of General Williams, funnily enough, and it mentions names like Eva Kore, who Mass Effect 3 will later reference, though obviously they aren't the same character. Most of the story is spent with Jack and his merry group and with a Turian named Desolas Arterius, brother of Saren Arterius. Desolas and Jack actually kind of collab with each other, as Desolas is extremely interested in this artifact that they found that turns people into husks. So this is probably where Saren's obsession with the Reapers also comes from, and both Tim's and Saren's indoctrinations begins here. It is also quite a mess of a comic, there's a lot of things happening, but I do recommend it, and I think the art is great.
Commander Shepard, I'm Staff Analyst Maya Brooks. Alliance Intelligence.
The reason we're talking about these 5 issues specifically is because these are the only 5 that happened before and during Mass Effect 1. Released in 2013, so after the release of Mass Effect 3, they all follow different characters. As the name suggests, it is the foundation for the characters that we would come and love in Mass Effect 2 and 3, with some of the issues being interesting to say the least. Issue 1 actually starts with a woman named Brooks, no, not this Brooks, an agent of the Shadow Broker who, with a boy that wants to be free, is looking for a man named Roth, who is founding a terrorist organization. You guessed it, Cerberus. After multiple plots of trying to find Roth, or at least his decoy, they get into a fight, but nothing about Roth is revealed. The boy and woman leave, and as they are about to go their separate ways, because she says she can take care of the boy and that her enemies will find a way to make him betray her, the boy reveals that he's actually a she, and shoots Brooks in the back. The kid then leaves while Brooks is dying. Decades later, this same girl presents herself in front of Tim and wants to join Cerberus, as she heard in the past that Cerberus stands for something, and she wanted to stand for something too. Her name? Maya Brooks. Yes, this Maya Brooks, although in most of these stories she goes by Rasa. I find it funny that most of these comics have Brooks in them, and some of them even start with her, considering she's such a minor character. But the issue itself is pretty good, and the art. Ah, I love the art. Issue number 2 follows both Rex and Brooks, just before we meet him, as the Shadow Broker is looking for Fist, that one guy that Rex kills in every one of my playthroughs. Turns out that Fist betrayed both the Shadow Broker and Cerberus by giving Saren information. Kai Leng, yes, this Kai Leng, we'll talk about him later, don't worry about it, and Brooks are basically stalling Rex to get to Fist first, which they do, and it is revealed that Saren just made him a better offer. They don't kill him because Brooks wants to know more about Saren's deal, so when Rex arrives late, they both go down the elevator, Rex unsuspecting of everything that went down, and that's when he's stopped by C-Sect and we meet him. This one's a bit random, and it's one of those stories that yes, makes sense, but like, it's just weird. But it does show how effective Brooks was in the field, as we knew from the Citadel DLC. Issue 3 starts heavy, with Kai Leng brutally torturing an Alliance soldier called Bates, just after the attacks on Eden Prime, and he relays this info to Brooks, as she then proceeds to pose as a psychologist and basically interrogates Ashley Williams, the leader of Bates' team, where she basically tells what happened from her point of view. This one is the simplest one. The attack happens and one by one her comrades start falling and then Shepard rescues her. Simple, straight to the point. There's not really a need for anything else. But the fact that Brooks is literally everywhere is starting to get annoying. Though that's kind of the point of these comics, I guess. Issue number 4 is about Kaidan Alenko and his ordeals at Jump Zero and his biotic acclimation and temperance training, or BAAT, as it is mentioned in the game. His journey was one of his friends, Rana, whom he mentions in one of his dialogues in Mass Effect 1, and how he killed Vernos, the Turian in charge of Gagarin Station, also known as Jump Zero, trying to defend Rana. All of this resulted in the station being shut down, and then we go back to present time with Brooks again, complaining that it's pointless to know about the commander's friends and that they should investigate him more. This one is also pretty simple, but it depicts a much deeper relationship between Rana and Kaidan and how it broke with one right action. And even his father tells him so, that even the correct actions have consequences. Finally, we have issue number 10. This one is about Kazumi and the death of her boyfriend Keiji Okuda. We all know where this is going. They tried to steal from Donovan Hawk. It turns out that they were expected, and Hawk himself kills Keiji, who tells Kazumi to escape with his last breath and to retrieve the grey box, which obviously doesn't happen because that's what happens in Mass Effect 2. This one is, in my opinion, the worst one. It only showcases the love between the two and their failed haste, which, considering it released in 2013, we already knew all this from Kazumi's loyalty mission in Mass Effect 2, so it's a bit weird. Though it does show Kazumi's overconfidence. What was in that grey box, you say? Well, that's for later, of course.
My name is Tali. Tali Zora Naraya.
Finally, we have issue number 2 of Homeworld. This one tells the story of Tali Zora Naraya and her arrival at the Citadel. Turns out that she was just on the start of a pilgrimage on Ilium trying to find something to give back, as it is common with the pilgrimage, when another Quarian named Kim tells her that Geth presence was detected in an ice planet. They then proceed to go there and extract the core of one of the Geth that had a recording of, well, you know.
Eden Prime was a major victory. The beacon has brought us one step closer to finding the conduit.
But turns out the Arturian named Jacobus, who was working with Saren, finds out about their trespass, and he pursues them. As the two proceed to go back to their ship and back to Ilium, they are denied entry because they are Quarians, and Jacobus manages to ambush the entire crew of the ship, killing all of them except for Tali and Kina, who manage to smuggle into a ship that goes to the Citadel. They get found as stowaways and get reported to C-Sec, where Tali tries telling Chelik about what she found, but he doesn't listen. After being released and told to leave, Jacobus ambushes them, wounds Tali and kills Kina, and then Tali manages to kill him but destroys Kina's body in the crossfire. He is then treated by the doctor, and while she is telling everything she heard, Arlavon tells her that he can make it so that her information goes to the right hands. but we already know how that ends. Now you may be asking yourself, why did I go into so much detail for this one even though it's not that long? Because it's Tali. I have a bias. What do you want me to say? So, before we start with the actual games, just know that I will tell as much synopsis. Just know that I will just tell a small synopsis of each of them, and I will tell every small thing, maybe except for Mass Effect 2. I haven't written the script for that one yet. So, the game starts inside a ship, what we would come to know as the Normandy, one of the most iconic designs in video game history, and a core part of all three games. It's pretty much just another character, literally, actually, but we'll get to that later. This scene does a pretty good job introducing the characters. We have our protagonist, Shepard, whom we can modify and give him a combination of 9 different origins and a plethora of classes for combat. It introduces 5 characters, those being Nihilus, Spectre, Shepard, Joker, the pilot of the Normandy, and the second best character in the franchise, do not add me, Gaiden, and Anderson. The game tells us that we're going to Eden Prime to test the new camouflage for the ship. But something is amiss. Why is there a Spectre on board? Before revealing that, we can introduce to Exo Presley, who doubts Nihilus' presence, or any alien for that matter, on the ship, and Dr. Karen Shakwas, another very important character, and our second companion on our mission, Corporal Jenkins. It is revealed that the reason we have for being there is that a Prothean beacon has been unearthed at Eden Prime and that they must retrieve it. We go down to the planet and Jenkins immediately dies. We'll touch on his death at the end. As we fight through the drones, we get introduced to Ashley Williams, as in the background, humans are getting impaled by the Geth, a race of synthetics. We are told that the beacon is further down, but when we get there, it's not there, so it was moved. We continue towards the beacon, and we get a cutscene of our villain for the game, Saren, betraying Nihilus, whom we consider an ally.
Saren. Nihilus.
This isn't your mission, Saren. What are you doing here?
The Council thought you could use some help on this one.
I wasn't expecting to find the Geth here. The situation's bad.
Don't worry. I've got it under control.
In the distance, we can see an enormous looking ship, but let's not touch on that yet. We find Nihilus, and a witness tells us that it was Saren who killed him. We proceed to the beacon while deactivating the bombs that should destroy the colony, and then this happens.
Normandy, the beacon is secure.
This is amazing. Actual working Prothean technology. Unbelievable.
It wasn't doing anything like that when they dug it up. Something must have activated it.
Roger, Normandy. Standing by.
Shepard!
No, don't touch him. Too dang.
We wake up inside the Normandy, and we explain everything that happened while we're on the way to the Citadel, and then we get one of the coolest reveals ever. We proceed to go to the human embassy to get an audience with the consul to talk about what happened and Saren's betrayal. As we approach the council, we meet another future companion, Garrus Vakarian, the man that oversaw the investigation against Saren even before all of this went down. We talk with the council, which gets us nowhere, but we need information on him, so we get multiple leads. We should talk to Garrus again, who is in Dr. Michelle's clinic, And we should talk to Varlapon about Saren, who gives us information about a Krogan named Rex, who is looking for Feast, and a Quarren named Tali, who also has information about Saren. It's a bit complicated to just narrate this. Just know that you will get all three no matter what. You recruit Rex and help him kill Feast, or not if he's not on your party. You recruit Garrus and rescue Tali, who, from the core mentioned before, gives us proof enough to show to the council that Saren has betrayed them. But that was quick. We then get another three leads. We have Noveria, where my matriarch Venezia is, the other voice in the recording. We have Pharos, a human colony that hides a very dark secret, and Liara Tassoni's dig site. You can choose whichever one you want, there's no reference really, except for some dialogue here and there. But before that, a very important moment in the story happens. The council decides to make Shepard a Spectre. With his flawless background and ability, they deem him worthy of the title and grant him this to get Saren back.
Commander Shepard, step forward. It is the decision of the Council that you be granted all the powers and privileges of the Special Tactics and Reconnaissance Branch of the Citadel.
Spectres are not trained, but chosen. Individuals forged in the fire of service and battle, those whose actions elevate them above the rank and file.
Spectres are an ideal, a symbol, the embodiment of courage, determination, and self-reliance. They are the right hand of the Council, instruments of our will.
Spectres bear a great burden. They are protectors of galactic peace, both our first and last line of defense. The safety of the galaxy is theirs to uphold.
You are the first human Spectre, Commander. This is a great accomplishment for you and your entire species.
I'm honored, Counselor.
Throughout the games, you can decide to talk to your friends. So if you talk with them now, they will tell you about their story, for example. How Tali was on her aforementioned pilgrimage, how Garrus left C-Sec because he doesn't like doing things by the book anymore. Rex explains the genophage. Ashley mentions that she wished you arrived earlier. In any case, I went first to Noveria, where there's a whole deal with corruption that I'm not gonna cover. Just know that the entire planet is basically a money laundering machine. And we help Gianna Parasini, a Noveria internal affairs agent, deal with Director Anolace and his corruption. Once we get to the labs, and after a series of puzzles and trying to find your way through this fucking labyrinth, what is this place, Bioware, we discovered something. Saren wanted to use Arachnite, an arachnid-like species that was thought to be hunted to extinction by the Council races more than 2,000 years ago. And we decide what to do with them. This is a decently big plot point for the future of the games. Do you kill it and drive them to extinction again? Or do you set it free on the promise that it will hide itself? In all my playthroughs, I choose to free her. Before that, we obviously defeat Venezia, who with pure will manages to tell us that Sovereign is capable of mind-controlling abilities, and that she is too far gone. We leave Noveria and then proceed to Liara's dig site. In the meantime, we can talk again with our friends, and depending on who we talk the most and on our gender, we can flirt with said character. In this run, it was mostly just Ashley, because this is like my 8th run of the games. In Liara's dig site, who is Matriarch Venezia's daughter and an Asari, she is trapped in the Prothean ruins, trying to protect herself from Saren's forces attacking. So, after going through the top of what is basically and fighting our way into the mine through a comically long corridor, we save her and leave the planet. Again, we can talk a bit with our friends, including this time Liara Tassoni, that explains a bit of her backstory and how she misses her mother, though you can't really tell because of her monotone way of speaking. After a bit more of flirting, we go to Pharos. It's revealed that Saren wanted a plant called the Thorian, who has lived through the cycle of destruction of the Reaper multiple times. After a whole ordeal with rescuing a woman Lady Lisbeth, who was studying the Thorian and telling us about its mind-controlling abilities, we proceed to go back to Zeus Hope, where the people there have been brainwashed by the Thorian, but we can save them with a handy grenade update. We proceed to kill the Thorian, and after a brief conversation and a dull boss fight, Anasari gives us what Saren was there for, the cipher. Basically a way for us to understand better the Prothean mind, meaning the visions on the beacon, and then we leave. At this point, all the relevant characters have been introduced, so let's talk about them.
Nihilus gave you a compliment, so you hate him.
Kaidan is the first one we meet. He's a very serious guy and an L2, basically meaning that his control of dark matter, or biotics as the game calls it, is a level inferior to characters like Shepard, which makes him have severe migraines throughout the game, but they don't play a huge role in combat or anywhere else, only in dialogue. He is also a romance option for female Shepard, although that changes in Mass Effect 3. I've never gone for him, so I can't comment on that too much.
Gunnery Chief Ashley Williams of the 212. You the one in charge here, sir?
Probably the most complex character in the games. She is the granddaughter of General Williams, the first human to surrender to the Turians, so she's basically a loner. She's the kind of the character that does everything by themselves and never asks for help, even though they appreciate it. She has a very deep relationship with her family and is very close to her three sisters, her being the oldest. She likes poetry from authors like Alfred Tennyson and Walt Whitman, and even shares that she went to the same training camp as Shepard. She is an exemplary soldier. She is also extremely racist. Yeah, the reason I call her complex is because she actually develops a lot throughout the games, but in Mass Effect 1 she is extremely racist toward other aliens.
They're different aboard the Normandy, but I'm concerned about the aliens, Vicarian and Rex. With all due respect, Commander, should they have full access to the ship?
They may not serve the Alliance, Chief, but they're allies. At least as far as Saren goes.
This is the most advanced ship in the Alliance Navy. I don't think we should give them free rein to poke around the vital systems. Engines, sensors, weapons.
You don't trust the Alliance's allies?
I'm not sure I'd call the Council races allies. We, humanity, have to learn to rely on ourselves.
Standing up for ourselves doesn't mean standing alone.
I don't think we should turn down allies. I just think we shouldn't bet everything on them staying allies. As noble as the council members seem now, if their backs are against the wall, they'll abandon us.
Well, maybe racism is a bit too far, but it's borderline that. She doubts aliens and even mentions in one of her conversations that she doesn't like that people like Garrus, Tali and Liara have access to the ship in its totality. But she knows that there's no point in maintaining that stance, and she will bear that grudge deep for as long as that mission goes for. We will talk about her development as we go through the games. She is also a romance partner for a male Shepard in this game.
Commander Shepard, Garrus Vicarian. I was the officer in charge of the CSEC investigation into Saren.
One of my favorite characters in the game, Garrus, is a Turian, this lethal-like race that humans had a war with 30 years prior. He is also a weird people magnet.
Give me more time.
I can't pause!
Man, am I glad that Bao hasn't played these games yet. He is a talented rifleman, and after years in the police, or CSEC, he thinks that there's better ways to do things than by the book. So he has the mentality of a vigilante. He's probably Shepard's best friend throughout the games, and an ally that will always have his back in whatever situation he's in.
My name is Tali. Tali Zora Naraya.
The cutest character in the trilogy. Tali is a Quarian, a race that has lived in suits for the past 3 centuries due to them leaving their planets after creating a new synthetic race called the Geth, who rebelled against them and forced them to become the nomads of space. They are basically beings with immunodeficiency, as any kind of wound could be mortal. It just depends on your will and on luck. Although faceless throughout the trilogy, she is probably the most expensive of the bunch, as she is very much into ships and engines. For being a Quarian and all, she is Shepard's most avid supporter, as we'll see later down the line.
Let's go. I hate to keep Fist waiting.
Ordnot Rex, most commonly known as Rex for the first game, is a Krogan and one of the last battle masters in its race. The Krogan are weird to explain. Imagine a combination of the fertility of a bunny, the strength of an elephant, the size of a human, and you can sprinkle in a bit of camel-like elements when you mix, and you create, boom, the Krogan. Now, because of their strength and populace, they were very useful in the war against the Rachni, being used by the Council to drive them to extinction. But the Krogan wanted more. They were heroes, yet weren't being treated as one. So the Krogans rebel. And what does the Council do? The Genophage, a virus that spreads throughout generations that makes it so that 1 in every 1,000 children survives, so their race is going to extinction. And that's a big part of his character. Throughout the games, one of his main objectives is to find a cure for his people. He's another one of Shepard's greatest friends, and a great warrior. Although a bit hot-headed, he basically likes to punch and break stuff, but he's also very honest.
Commander, are you coming to check up on me?
Finally, the last of the playable, Liara Tassoni, daughter of Matriarch Venezia, a pure-blooded Asari. The Asari are a race of blue women, yes, there are no men in that race, and are basically the richest and the first to discover the Citadel in that cycle. They are also the most resourceful. He is a scientist that has spent 2 generations investigating the Protheans and is the most intelligent of the bunch. For now. And will become a huge character in the story as it progresses throughout the games. She is a pureblood, an Asari born from the union of 2 Asari, which is highly disliked amongst her people, but she's still a powerful biotics user. He is also a romance partner for Shepard, any of the 2 genders.
The Normandy's probably too much ship for your average Alliance pilot, Commander. Lucky for you, I'm anything but average.
I do want to talk about them a bit, as they are a very important part of the games, even though they aren't playable. Jeff Moreau, alias Joker, is the pilot of the Normandy, and one of the best pilots, if not the best, as he calls himself, of the Alliance. He suffers from Frolic syndrome, an extremely rare variation of brittle-bone syndrome, which basically makes it so that flying is realistically the only thing he can do if he wants to be part of the Alliance. He is the most relatable character in the games probably, and I love him very much. He is funny and charismatic, and he's voiced by Seth Green. What's not to like? And then we have David Anderson. He was the captain of the Normandy before being relieved of his duty, and he's basically a father figure for Shepard. Voiced by Keith David, who does an exceptional job. He's an extremely important ally in every single game, but we'll get to that. He has the guts to do what it takes to save the galaxy, and he even becomes a leader of humanity. With the characters out of the way, we can continue. At the 3 planets, we receive the call that a team in Vermeer has discovered a research facility of Saren, and that they need help, but the message isn't clear. We go there to investigate, and it turns out that a group of Salarians, part of the STG, or Special Task Group, which is basically just the CIA but for an entire race, want to basically explode the base, as they are trying to cure the genophage. Rex obviously wants to save that cure for its people, and in comes the first big decision of these games. Either you calm down Rex, telling him that the cure makes all those Krogans puppets for Saren, or he dies. Obviously the correct choice is saving him. Why would you kill him, dum-dum?
This isn't right, Shepard. If there's a cure for the genophage, we can't destroy it.
I understand you're upset, but we both know Saren's the enemy here. He's the one you should be angry with.
Really? Saren created a cure for my people. You want to destroy it. Help me out here, Shepard. The lines between friend and foe are getting a little blurry from where I stand.
This isn't a cure, it's a weapon! And if Saren is allowed to use it, you won't be around to reap the benefits. None of us will.
That's a chance we should be willing to take. This is the fate of my entire people we're talking about. If you can't give me a better reason than this to destroy the hopes of my people, then I'm done with you.
I can't let you jeopardize the mission.
So that's it. All this time, and that's all I get from you. How can you not see what this means to the Krogan? This base can't be destroyed. I won't allow it.
These Krogan are slaves of Saren. Puppets. Tools to be used and discarded. Is that what you want for your people?
No, we were tools for the Council once. To thank us for wiping out the Rachni, they neutered us all. I doubt Saren will be as generous. All right, Shepard. You've made your point. I don't like this, but I trust you enough to follow your lead. Just one thing. When we find Saren, I want his head.
Then, the leader of the Salarian group asks us for one of our two human allies, Kaidan or Ashley, to help with the frontal assault while the rest of Shepard's team goes through the back. This decision holds no weight, but we'll get to that.
You all know the mission and what is at stake. I have come to trust each of you with my life, but I have also heard murmurs of discontent. I share your concerns. We are trained for espionage. We would be legends, but the records are sealed. Glorying in battle is not our way. Think of our heroes. The Silent Steppe, who defeated a nation with a single shot. Or the Ever Alert, who kept armies at bay with hidden facts. These giants do not seem to give us solace here, but they are not all that we are. Before the network, there was the fleet. Before diplomacy, there were soldiers. Our influence stopped the Rachni, but before that, we held the line. Our influence stopped the Krogan, but before that, we held the line. Our influence will stop Saren. In the battle today, we will hold the line. Good luck, Commander. I hope we will meet again.
The assault on the base commences, and we must do objectives down the line if we don't want our Salarian friends to die in the attack. It is revealed that Saren has also been investigating indoctrination and has been using it in the Salarian men that the captain had been losing the last few days. We then find another beacon, and with it more information about the visions that we saw with the first one. And then we talk with Sovereign. Sovereign explained that he is in fact a Reaper, a race of machines that have wiped the galaxy countless numbers of times, and that it was them that wiped the Frothians 50,000 years back. We then get one of the hardest lines in the games.
You exist because we allow it, and you will end because we demand it.
We still don't know why they do this, but he tells Shepard that the cycle will not be stopped and then proceeds to storm off.
The vanguard of your destruction. This exchange is over.
Commander, we got trouble.
Hit me, Joker.
That ship's Sovereign? It's moving. I don't know what you did down there, but that thing just pulled a turn that would shear any of our ships in half.
We then get to where the bomb to blow the place must be planted, but then the frontal team with our friend gets pinned down, so we go to help.
Commander, do you read me?
The nuke is almost ready, Lieutenant. Get to the rendezvous point.
Negative, Commander. The Geth have us pinned down on the AA tower. We've taken heavy casualties. We'll never make the rendezvous point in time.
Get them out of there, Joker. Now!
Negative. It's too hot. You can't risk it. We'll hold them off as long as we...
It's okay, Commander. I need a couple of minutes to finish arming the nuke. Go get them and meet me back here.
Up to the AA tower. Move!
But suddenly the previous team also gets flooded by enemies.
Reinforcements. We better hurry.
Chief, we just spotted a troop ship inbound to your location.
It's already here, and is bleeding Geth all over the bomb site.
Hold on, Chief. I'm coming back to get you.
Negative! It's too late for us! There's just too many of them! I'm activating the nuke!
What are you doing, Chief?
Making sure this bomb goes off, no matter what! It's done, Commander. Go get the Lieutenant and get the hell out of here!
And here's the biggest decision of Mass Effect 1. Who to save? Ashley or Kaidan? Most of my playthrough, the one that gets saved is Ashley, mostly because I find her more interesting, but that's up to the person really. As the only consequence is who dies, because the bomb will go off no matter what. We go back to the Normandy with heavy hearts, having just lost a friend. We then go back to the Citadel to tell them about the plan of attack that Saren has, and to tell them to prepare for it.
Good job, Shepard. Thanks to you, the Council's finally taking real action against Saren.
The Ambassador is correct. If Saren is foolish enough to attack the Citadel, as you believe, we will be ready for him.
Patrols are stationed at every mass relay linking Citadel space to the Terminus systems.
We also tell them that we should send troops to Ilos, a planet where the conduit is. But they think that doing so will wage war against the Terminus system, basically the non-council races. So they decide instead to ground your ship, because they think that the Reapers are just a lie that Saren is using to confuse us. This right here is one of the many times that the council is named throughout the games. Fucking hell, we'll get to that, don't worry. We then get a bit of sexual tension with your partner of choice, and we receive a decal that Anderson wants to meet with us. Before that, we get an interview with Kalisa Al-Jilani, a common character in the 3 games. She's a very minor character, but I just wanted to mention her. She basically showcases that the press is still the press. She tries to twist our words in every way possible. Most people decide to punch her in the face. I just answer to the best of my capabilities. Anderson helps us leave the lockdown, and we storm off to Ilos to stop Saren. We then probably get the most famous scene in Mass Effect 1, the sex scene. I'm gonna comment on it later because there's surprisingly a lot to talk about. We get to Ilos, but there's not enough space to land, so we go in by Mako. After a couple of puzzles and a cryptic message that only Shepard can understand,
too late. Unable to... Invading fleets. No escape.
Sounds like some kind of message, but I don't recognize the language.
It's probably in Prothean. This recording must be 50,000 years old. No wonder we can't understand it.
The message is all broken up, but I recognize some of the words. It's a warning against the Reaper invasion.
Incredible! The cipher must have transferred an understanding of the Prothean language into your mind.
We proceed to follow Saren until we get quote-unquote trapped and we meet Vigil. Vigil is a Prothean VI, and it tells us that the Prothean here were the brightest minds in the race. But as time went by, energy was starting to become scarce, so Vigil unfortunately had to turn off life support on all the life pods.
The conduit is the key. Before the Reapers attacked, we Protheans were on the cusp of unlocking the mysteries behind mass relay technology. Ilos was a top-secret facility. Here, researchers worked to create a small-scale version of a mass relay, one that linked directly to the Citadel, the hub of the relay network.
The conduit's not a weapon. It's a backdoor into the Citadel.
How did you manage to stay hidden?
All official records of our project were destroyed in the initial attack on the Citadel. While the Prothean Empire came crashing down, Ilos was spared. We severed all communication with the outside, and our facility went dark. The personnel retreated underground into these archives. To conserve resources, everyone was put into cryogenic stasis. I was programmed to monitor the facility and wake the staff when the danger had passed. But the genocide of an entire species is a long, slow process. Years passed, decades, centuries. The Reapers persisted, and my energy reserves were dwindling.
You should have fought.
We were a few hundred against a galactic invasion fleet. Our only hope was to remain undetected. I began to disable the life support of non-essential personnel. First support staff, then security. One by one, their pods were shut down to conserve energy. Eventually, only the stasis pods of the top scientists remained active. Even these were in danger of failing when the Reapers finally retreated back through the Citadel relay.
There were hundreds of stasis pods out there. You just shut them down? You killed them?
You were programmed to protect them, not kill them.
This outcome was not completely unforeseen. My actions were a result of contingency programming entered on my creation.
I bet they didn't tell the non-essential staff about this contingency.
I saved key personnel. When the Reapers retreated, the top researchers were still alive. My actions are the only reason any hope remains. When the researchers woke, they realized the Prothean species was doomed. There were only a dozen individuals left, far too few to sustain a viable population. Yet they vowed to find some way to stop the Reapers from returning, a way to break the cycle forever, and they knew the Keepers were the key.
The Citadel is a huge mass relay, and when it is activated from within, the Reapers come from dark space and destroy civilization. So the cycle must be stopped, and the reasons the Prothean lost is because they died before even knowing what was happening and how the Reapers got there in the first place. Hylos survived because the Reapers had no information about the planet. The Protheans found a way to modify the Keepers so that they wouldn't activate the Citadel when the Reapers made the call. So one of them, being Sovereign, must activate it manually. After this, the final race of the game begins. We get into the conduit and go to the Citadel, now destroyed from all the chaos, and we see how Sovereign perches himself on the middle of it and the arms close under Saren's orders. Vertical fighting. After that, we get into a final confrontation with Saren, where we can convince him that the Reapers are controlling him, making him shoot himself.
Some part of you must still realize this is wrong. You can fight this.
Maybe you're right. Maybe there is still a chance for... The implants. Sovereign is too strong. I'm sorry. It is too late for me.
It's not over yet. You can still redeem yourself.
Goodbye, Shepard. Thank you.
Shepard actually does something that most TV shows and movies should do, and that's to confirm that Saren is actually dead.
Make sure he's dead.
He's dead.
While opening the arms and receiving a call from the Normandy, where Joker says that he has the entire Arcturus fleet with him. We then tell the Alliance Armada to either save the Council, concentrate on Sovereign, or let the Council die.
What's the order, Commander? Come in now to save the Ascension, or hold back?
Opening the relays now, Joker. We need to save the Ascension, no matter what the cost.
I hope you know what you're doing, Commander.
Now realistically, the correct option is to save the Council. As we see Mass Effect 3, getting another leader for an entire race is quite the ordeal. So even if you don't like them, which, let's be honest, nobody does, saving them is the correct option in my opinion. So we get one of the coolest scenes in game history.
Alliance ships, move in. Save the Destiny Ascension.
Commander, we're picking up reinforcements. It's the Alliance. Thank the goddess.
Destiny Ascension, you are all clear. Repeat, you are all clear.
The Citadel's opening. All ships move in. Concentrate on Sovereign.
You save them, multiple Alliance ships get destroyed, and then they start to focus on Sovereign. Meanwhile, Saren's body gets resurrected by Sovereign due to the extreme modifications done to his body, and we get the final boss fight.
I am Sovereign, and this station is mine.
After Saren is defeated, Sovereign is destroyed.
Its shields are down. Now's our chance.
Hit it with everything we got.
Hard on my flank! We're going in!
And in comes a final scare thinking that Shepard is dead, though he obviously isn't. Yet, the game ends with Shepard choosing the human counselor between Udina and Anderson. I always choose Anderson, so I couldn't tell you if it makes a big difference. He then gives a speech that serves as sequel bait and credits roll. Okay, let's talk about the good and the bad. The Mass Effect world is one of the richest worlds in gaming history, and it's presented extremely well in this game. You have the humans being humans, you have the Turians with the strongest fleet in the galaxy and being all about honor, you have the Quarians with the largest fleet in the galaxy and being experts in engines and ships, you have the Asari, beautiful blue-skinned women that are masters of controlling dark matter, you have the Krogan, masters in combat, and there are tons of other races like the Volus, the Vatarians, the Elcor, the Drell, the Hanar, the Geth, the Reapers. It presents an incredibly rich world that with each entry just gets richer and richer. The characters in this game are superbly written, some more than others, as I said previously, but they are all likable to some degree, and are recognizable, best of all, even though between members of their own species most people tend to confuse them. But we are capable of identifying them. The strongest point in the game is its story. It's extremely well written, it's straight to the point, it's fun, it's intriguing. It's all you want in a story about aliens and space. I mean, do I even need to talk? You've been hearing it throughout the video, and it's only gonna get better with each entry. Jack Wall did such an insane job in Mass Effect 1 and 2, making you live that alien-like atmosphere, while also giving us one of the most iconic themes in gaming history. Oh, so good. This was huge for its time. Games didn't usually have the option to have multiple choices of romance, except for games like KOTOR, but they weren't nearly as deep as the one in Mass Effect. But this didn't come without its controversies. The sex scene in Shepard's cabin made a lot of conservative people, bear with me here, say that Mass Effect can be customized to sodomize whatever, whomever, however the game player wishes. And with its over-the-net capabilities, virtual orgasmic rape is just the push of a button away, as blogger Kevin McCullough would say. Now obviously the community and many other people thought it was stupid, and he ended up apologizing after the backlash. Even on the fucking news it was commented that the game made women look like objects, and that Shepard basically had the choice of how many women he wanted to sleep with, as a proclaimed psychology specialist Cooper Lawrence said while being interviewed. You know what's funny about this? When asked if she had played the games, she said no, like, obviously we all knew that. But what I bet you didn't know is that the person that refuted her claims and asked her this question was Jeff motherfucking Keighley himself. Like, my boy Jeff was out there defending video games 20 years ago. But sadly, that's really all the good you can say about the game. The game has a lot of bad as well. The gameplay in a first run might seem fun, but as you play the game more and more, it just becomes boring. All the weapons are the same within classes, the customization, while being there, it's not deep enough to be of importance. Just equip the best thing and forget about it. It has a bunch of bugs and glitches, and some mechanics don't even work as intended. This game has a ton of side quests, and by that I mean a ton. But most of them are open world missions in different planets throughout the galaxy that you have to search by hand one by one, and it gets incredibly boring fast. The Mako, the car that we use throughout the game, is just not a fun experience. It has very clunky movement. Each world is completely barren with nothing to do except collect a few rare materials and having some artifacts and side missions. This one is not all the time, but throughout the game, characters that are seemingly important just die. I can mention Jenkins at the beginning, which normally I would be fine with, but the game and even the sequels made a great deal about his death and how it impacted Shepard. But we're left with this weird feeling of, I barely knew this guy, why should I care? And his death was so anticlimactic, it didn't even have sound. The game also has a lot of problems with audio missing from some animations, and some scenes are cut together extremely poorly. Now I'm talking about the Legendary Edition, maybe the original was better and probably justified as it was 2007. But the Legendary Edition released in 2021, like, come on BioWare. And while only being 3 points, there are huge parts of the game, and with each playthrough I found myself playing Mass Effect 1 less and less with each run, because I'm very tired of the side missions of the game, especially since most of them do not matter in the next games. Though obviously that isn't Mass Effect 1's fault. So what I do is basically just finish the game and then edit the files to say that I did the most important side quests, or at least the ones that actually hold any weight in Mass Effect 2 and 3. Mass Effect 1 would end up selling at least 2 million copies, with a combined 7 by 2011 with its sequel Mass Effect 2. It would win multiple awards like Best RPG and a couple Game of the Year awards, and would basically tell BioWare that people wanted a sequel. But for that you will have to wait 3 years. Mass Effect 1 is a game that would be the big start of a trilogy, and the first that would give us one of the greatest stories in game history. And even with all its flaws, you can't help but just call it for its name. A complete masterpiece. Okay, so before we even begin, just know that this will probably be the longest section in the video, because by the time Mass Effect 2 ends, we already have introduced all the characters except for line 1. If you've liked this video so far, consider subscribing and leaving an interaction. So far this has been over 100 hours of work, and I haven't even started Mass Effect 3, its script, or the video itself. Yeah, I changed locations, what about it? After the success that was Mass Effect 1, and because the franchise was already envisioned as a trilogy of games, the development of Mass Effect 2 started a bit before Mass Effect 1 was officially released. They obviously considered the criticisms of the first game, and over the 2.5 years between each game, they improved the combat, the lighting, the frame rate, and their objective was to create an experience rather than just a game, and not focus too much on just the story as opposed to Mass Effect 1. The development of Mass Effect 2 took twice as long as Mass Effect 1, and over 150 people worked on the game. But not all was good, as the game's development was impacted by the Great Recession, limiting the game's budget, and the flu pandemic of 2009, which made them lose, quote, a main year of time. The game was officially announced in the GDC of 2009, and was officially released in January 2010 on the Xbox 360 and PC, while a PS3 version was leaked through the game's code and would be released a year later. In this part 2 we will basically cover one issue of Homeworld and all the other Foundation issues along with Redemption. We will also talk a bit about its most famous novel, Ascension, the 2 mobile games that don't exist anymore, and the movie. But only a bit, otherwise the video would literally be 5 hours long, and by the time I'm writing the script, I'm expecting the video to be at least 2.5 hours long. You will know because you're watching the full video. So, let's start with...
Shepard, I thought you were dead.
This issue is about Garrus Vakarian, and how he came to be Archangel in Mass Effect 2. Spoilers, I know. The issue begins with a young Garrus doing target practice with his father, who tells him that he must keep shooting even if he misses, because otherwise when hard choices come to us, we won't be able to make a difference. It tells us a bit more about his childhood and how he gave up a scholarship to take care of his sick mother. It also tells us something that we already knew. Garrus was tired of the red tape that the Citadel used, and that everyone went on with their lives after the Citadel was attacked, and believed that the threat ended with Sovereign, so he decides to take matters into his hands. He goes to Omega after a drug dealer tells him of his source, and there he creates a group with a Turian named Sidonis, and it grows to be 12 people. He earns the name Archangel after saving an elderly couple from being smuggled. At one point, the Blue Suns capture Sidonis and force him to betray the gang. So as Garrus is coming back to the base, it gets bombed and everyone there is dead except for Sidonis. Garrus is then trapped. He then contacts his father and apologizes, as his father was a CSEC agent, believing those to be his last words. He then scopes an N7 armor and says that he will return to Palaven when he can, as the odds just got a lot better. It's my favorite issue so far, even though it tells us stuff that we already knew. Maybe it's because I'm biased for Garrus. No, it definitely is that.
Dr. Tassoni, your interference caused all this.
The reason I'm putting these three together is because they are connected and one immediately after the other. Foundation 5006 specifically tells the story of Miranda and Jacob trying to recover Shepard's body. Their story begins obviously with Rasa, who is being told that she is not the one in charge of recovering Shepard's body, and neither is Kai Leng. Miranda, another one of Cerberus' top agents, goes to one of the bars in the Citadel that still stand and recruits Jacob Taylor, who is tired of the Citadel's incompetence, the Alliance just declaring Shepard MIA and giving up on finding his body, and is skeptical of Cerberus, but decides to join Miranda after being told their objective. Now a lot happens in these two comics. Just know that Miranda uses her contacts to find Shepard's body, but after multiple fights, they get separated and one gets captured while the other gets injured. Jacob, the injured one, is told by the person that rescued him to free their family that is being held captive by Batarian slavers, who coincidentally are the ones holding Miranda. After all that's done, and after being thanked by the family, Miranda says that the commander's body is nowhere to be found here. All this ties into Redemption, which is about Liara. She goes to Omega to talk with Theron, her contact on Shepard's whereabouts, who tells him that he's probably dead and that the stasis pod he's in is not much help. As they are going to see the body, they are ambushed by Blues and mercenaries, but then get rescued by Miranda and a group of Cerberus, who tells her to talk with the Elusive Man. Tim tells Liara that our race called the Collectors want Shepard's body, and that Cerberus is trying to stop them getting it because they want to save the commander, so Liara agrees to cooperate with them. It is then when Liara goes to Arya Talok, who tells her that the Blue Suns have Shepard's body and plan to hand it over to the Shadow Broker. Liara then confronts Theron for being a Shadow Broker agent, but insists on giving him one more chance of redemption. So, they go to the mines in Omega, but Theron becomes a pussy when he sees the Shadow Broker agent in charge of the exchange, a Salarian called Tasik, the Shadow Broker's personal enforcer. As Theron is trying to kill Tasik, he misses because he is nervous and alerts him and flees with Shepard's body. They follow him to Allingon, where they go to the Shadow Broker's base on the planet, and they use the generic Liara as a prisoner to get past the guards. They then come across a shadowy figure, who is the Shadow Broker. Now, as we know from Mass Effect 2, he is not the Shadow Broker, but a decoy. Theron then proceeds to tell Liara who he is really working for, which is Cerberus, so he was a triple agent, and shows how desperate Cerberus is to get the commander's body because they just recruited an alien. Now, as the deal is about to close, Theron interrupts and tells Tasik that the Shadow Broker is not happy with the deal, so he puts the body in his ship again. Yes, Tasik is the generic big stupid guy, even though he is a Salarian, which is very funny. As all of this is going down, Theron holds back Tasik, while Liara, who attacks the group there, flees with Tasik's ship, but is forced to leave Theron behind. Sometime later, Miranda is working on the commander's body, but doesn't believe they can do anything as the damage is way too high to be repaired, but the Elusive Man believes otherwise. These three issues tell the story of the body's recovery extremely well and give the characters sufficient development. In Foundation we get the idea that Miranda is called an intelligent, while Jacob is much more of a friendly guy, willing to help strangers just to repay a debt, even if that debt is extremely costly. And Redemption sets up Liara working as an information broker, which the Elusive Man mistakenly thought that she worked for the Shadow Broker, and how her personality got severely altered or changed due to everything that happened with him, and that the hatred towards him made her a more ruthless person, as we see in the Shadow Broker DLC.
Cerberus.
Foundation 7 is Jack's issue. While assaulting a Cerberus base due to the hatred she has for them, thinking that Cerberus and the Elusive Man were the ones that tortured her and did experiments on her as a child, Kylen hooks Brooks to get Jack before the Blue Suns get her. In that facility, she finds a group of students and she proceeds to tell them the truth about Cerberus, and they can either follow her or rot. As Kylen and Brooke arrive on the scene, she proceeds to blow everything up, because she's Jack and has anger management issues and whatnot, so a Krogan sneaks from behind and captures her for the Blue Suns. Now the Elusive Man can get Jack back, but the Krogan asks for triple the usual pay because of all the damages she did. The best part about this issue is how well it sets up Jack caring for students in Mass Effect 3, as she clearly cares about these guys and she's not just another psycho with massive power. The comic also sets how strong she is extremely well, because she takes care of multiple Cerberus guys and multiple hordes of Blue Suns.
Commander Shepard, I'm Staff Analyst Maya Brooks.
This one follows issue 7 and more directly follows Brooks herself, but before that I must talk about Kai Leng. At the start of this issue, Kai Leng throws a fit and cries like a little girl because both of them fail to get Jack. So he is actually scared of what the Illusive Man will do, which I just think it's hilarious considering the image they gave him in Mass Effect 3. Anyway, they get separated to work on different projects. Brooks is sent to Project Lazarus as a researcher to the commander helped a lot, and the instructor to pose as a cyber traitor to give information to Tela Vasir, yes, the one from the Shadow Broker DLC, and try to get into the Spectre's computers and get classified information on Shepard to help with Sid's revival. Now this obviously doesn't go well, and Vasir basically threatens Brooks, saying that either she gives them info to servers with a virus, or she goes to prison. She proceeds to leave, and then in a bar she drinks a drink that was offered to her, but it was spiked. She wakes up with a Drell assassin with a knife to her throat, this assassin being Thane Krios, who after hearing her precious for life, as she is a bit drunk, doesn't kill her as he was misled. She is then brought back to Project Lazarus and then tells Miranda that the information has a virus, which she manages to overcome. As the Illusive Man is reflecting on Brooks and her behavior, thinking that she should stop being on the field, Miranda tells him that she still has a purpose, and that's to gather information on the team that Shepard will get when he wakes up. This one explains how well the Illusive Man got all information about Shepard's team in Mass Effect 2, and gives a bit of a hint about what would happen in the Citadel DLC.
Rest, young mother. Find your gods. Find someplace better.
This one is about Mordin, as he and a team of STG are trying to come up with a solution to the Krogan adapting to the genophage. Mordin, being as intelligent as he is, manages to come up with a new strain within a couple of weeks. The team proceeds to go to Tuchanka, aiming to test this new strain. After a hard battle where they almost die, a female Krogan marches at Mordin, aiming to kill him, but he avoids her and they engage in conversation. This is probably the turning point for Mordin as they talk about the genophage, Mordin defending his position, saying that the Krogan could become a threat, while the Krogan says that the countless mothers have seen their children die at their arms. An explosion that was planned by Mordin then occurs, killing the female Krogan and severely injuring Mordin, looking now like he looks in Mass Effect 2. It showcases Mordin pretty much perfectly and ties incredibly well into the events of Mass Effect 2, as he begins to ponder if what they are doing with the genophage is the correct thing to do, and what would lead to Mordin leaving the STG and his search for answers in multiple different religions.
You Zaid Masani?
Yeah, that's me.
Zaid Masani is a mercenary that gets contacted by the Shadow Broker, who tells him to blow a Turian frigate no matter what. He creates a team of 4 people, a Rasari matriarch, an ex-Blue Suns that's loyal to him, and a Salarian. They manage to get on the ship, and with the help of a man inside, they try to blow it up, but it doesn't go well, as you'll expect. After a series of battles, after being discovered, it is revealed that the Asari matriarch and Zaid's ex-girlfriend was working for Vido Santiago all along, and betrays Zaid. As the ship is about to crash into orbit, Zaid emerges victorious from the clash, and just before the Turians in the planet start shooting the frigate due to no communication from it, Zaid finds a pod and escapes. After the story is over, Brooks looks over Shepard's clone tank and finds Zaid's story interesting. In the meantime, Miranda is watching over her, and proceeds to tell Tim that Brooks is becoming untrustworthy. This one is weak. While it shows how good Zaid is in the field, the story itself is not super interesting, but it does set up his hatred for Vido decently well, I guess.
I apologize, but prayers for the wicked must not be forsaken.
This one is amazing. It's about Thane. After a failed hit on a Salarian, he meets with a woman named Erika. She was a scientist, and the two of them basically stop an attack on her lab. Thane proceeds to tell her not to call security, and they proceed to become close. Yes, Erika is his future wife, and Colliet would one day be born. Now obviously you know where this is going. Thane fails to meet Ed Smith, so he proceeds to take more and more dangerous jobs as an assassin with Erika's support. One of such jobs includes a group of Batarian slavers who pay the Shadow Broker for information on Thane. They are obviously scared of him, so they don't attack him, but his family while he is far away. His wife dies in the attack, and Colliet manages to hide. Thane arrives at the house and has a breakdown and proceeds to hunt each and every one of the Batarians that killed his wife, while giving them a slow death instead of killing them quick. As he is looking down the scope to kill the one that ordered the hit, he remembers his wife's word, stopping him from killing the Salarian, but he neglects them and shoots the Batarian anyway. Thane promises then to walk the path that was given, and to make the world a better place, as we see by Mass Effect 2. I don't really have much to say about this one, it's just really good.
Alliance intelligence.
The last one of the Foundation comics. This one is filled with flashbacks from Raza's past, while at the same time she is basically betraying Sabers and stealing Shepard's clone. She uses the mechs in the Cerberus station, and throughout the comic she basically fights Miranda, with the idea of not being anyone's puppet anymore. I'm not gonna say much more because there really is nothing to say. As much as it pains me, 13 short comics is not enough to make me care about this one character that appears in one DLC Mass Effect 3. Granted, it is the best DLC in the franchise, but still. So yeah, she escapes with the clone and we get the classic children at the hallway, hinting at the Citadel DLC. Probably the most famous novel in Mass Effect franchise, this one tells the story of the Cerberus attack on the Quarian flotilla, while also telling the story of Paul Grayson and his daughter Gillian, and his descent into addiction to red sand. This novel is extremely long and extremely complicated to explain in short, so I'm gonna give you the smallest analysis. Gillian, or Gillian, I don't really know how to pronounce it, who is Paul Grayson's daughter, is an autistic genius in the Ascension program, but she needs medicine. Basically, Cerberus tries to take her out of the Ascension program to advance their biotics, while Paul Grayson is trying to save her. Kaylee Sanders is in the Ascension program and becomes quite close to Gillian. So, after a horrible deal of attacking a Quarian ship, which Tali mentions in Mass Effect 2, Paul leaves Kaylee and threatens Cerberus to go to the Alliance and tell them everything if they ever go after Kaylee or his daughter. Gillian is then left with the Quarian, adapting herself well to life aboard their ships and to the Quarian life. It's a very long novel. Explaining the Revelation novel was way easier, and it was also deemed necessary as it has major important plot points for the future games, but this one and its sequel, Deception, don't really add anything to the main plot. Don't worry, we will talk about Deception later. I know we will. You'll see. Again, this is a whole-ass movie, so I'm not gonna comment on it on its entirety. BioWare and EA gave the project to Production IG and TR Entertainment, the first one obviously making things like Psycho-Pass, Guilty Crown, Haikyuu, etc., and the second one making smaller things like Magicoi and Phrasing. They were told to make a movie about James Vega's ordeal in Fel Prime and his hard decision that cost the life of thousands of colonists. The movie is weird, the art style is not for everyone, and the characters fall somewhat flat. But it does present the hard decisions that came with the Collector attack and the Reapers. At the end of the movie, James is forced to save Trilla, an Asari that was Liara's student, for information about the Collectors, or stop the crashing ship and save the colonists on the planet. He chose the former, and the colonists ended up dying. Admiral Hackett tells him that this information could help the Alliance against the Collectors and the Reapers, which we know how that ended in Mass Effect 3. The movie also has a plot with Cerberus, where a guy who was in the colony and basically just gave the Collectors a reason to go there, so basically he doomed an entire colony just for information, which he deemed worthy. All in all, it's not a terrible movie, but it can take a lot of people out of it. Now normally this is where I will talk about the mobile games, because the franchise has two, but because they aren't available anywhere and the story really doesn't go anywhere, it's not worth diving into them. Just know they are called Mass Effect Galaxy and Mass Effect Infiltrator.
I am Omega.
Finally, we have Incursion, a short comic telling Aria's encounters with the Collectors in Omega, where she finds out that the Blue Suns are selling humans to them. She proceeds to interrogate and kill all of them, all of this while losing only one man. At the end, she is given a datapad consisting of human colonies that Collectors had in their scope, and she proceeds to say that humanity has made a big enemy. Anyway, now that we're done with the comics and novels, let's get into... Before we even begin, I want to give a warning to all those people that have some kind of phobia to bugs or more like bug-like creatures. Be warned, you're going to see a lot of them in this game, and some rather disturbing close-up shots of bugs in people's faces, so yeah. Also, Mass Effect 2 is gonna be different. I'm not gonna wait for every character to get introduced to talk about their side mission and whatnot, the only exceptions being Tali, Miranda and Jacob, but we'll get to that. Anyway, the game begins with a guy from who knows where talking with a woman that nobody knows, except that we do know them, and this game also commits the mistake of putting the character's name in the fucking subtitles before they get revealed. Here we have the elusive man speaking with a woman named Miranda, the first one being voiced by Martin Sheen, who throughout the games does an excellent job at portraying this ginormous piece of shit. And then we have Miranda Lawson, voiced by Yvonne Strahovski. She was on the Handmaid's Tale, in case you care. They talk about how the Council and the Alliance just ignore Shepard's warning about the Reapers, and that they know that Shepard needs to do something. Anyway, we cut to the Normandy when, in a mission to find Geth presence, it gets attacked by a gigantic phallic-looking ship, which destroys the Normandy, kills Presley, and spaces Shepard. Yes, Mass Effect 2 starts with Shepard dying. After a cool montage of tissue being repaired and whatnot, choosing our new class that does matter, and half waking up, we wake up for sure this time as they are attacking the base.
Shepard, your scars aren't healed, but I need you to get moving. This facility is under attack.
We get a gun that the woman in the loudspeaker tells us and are armored, and we meet with this guy. Oh, come on guys, he hasn't even spoken yet. This is Jacob Taylor, an ex-Alliance Marine, and that is now part of, drumrolls, Cerberus. Now, if you don't do too many missions in Mass Effect 1 and read a decent amount of text, you might not even know who Cerberus is. They are basically a terrorist organization, or at least the Council and the Alliance classify them as that. They are pro-human, and by pro-human I mean extremely anti-alien. Though Jacob really isn't. Anyway, after fighting our way through and reuniting with another guy just to test the overload ability, we meet Miranda, who immediately shoots the guy we just met because he was a traitor. This is Miranda Lawson. She is basically Cerberus' second in command and a cold-hearted bitch, as the game mentions multiple times. She believes in Cerberus' goals. A bit too much, if you ask me. Anyway, we meet with the elusive man through a hologram, who tells us that he revived Shepard so that he could save the world being obviously just humanity. It turns out that human colonies are disappearing, and there are no traces of anyone there, and the Council is not doing anything. We go to Freedom's Progress, the last victim of the attack, and there we find Tali, with a group of Quarians that basically are searching for a guy called Vitor, who went there on his pilgrimage. After a couple of battles and fighting a mech, we get Vitor, who introduces the new mechanic of the game, quick time events that are either Paragon or Renegade. Anyway, he manages to tell us that the colony was attacked by collectors, and that they use bugs to capture every human, but only the humans. After leaving Vitor to the Quarians and receiving his data, we get told to go to multiple places, and suddenly...
Hey, Commander! Just like old times, huh?
I can't believe it's you, Joker.
He left the Alliance once everything went down because he lost his ship, and they basically forced him to stay on the ground. It is then revealed that they made a new Normandy, and we get my favorite soundtrack of the franchise, called appropriately Their Normandy Reborn. We have multiple leads, but our first stop is to go to the Citadel and talk with the Council. Before that, we meet Commander Bailey, a human in charge of a part of CSEC, and a very important character from here on out, who helps us get identified, as Citadel security thinks we're dead. We go to the human embassy, where we reunite with Anderson, now Chancellor, after the decision made in Mass Effect 1. We engage in conversation with the Council, and I'm making quotes into the air, because this boils down to the same bullshit with the Council. Hey, there are collectors kidnapping humans. Well, that's what you get when you make colonies in the Terminus system, which, let's be honest, to some degree they are right. They basically tell us that they won't do anything, but at least they reinstate Shepard back to his Spectre status, which doesn't really do anything unless you go renegade out in some very minor scenes. It is then that we start recruiting the Avengers, our companions. The first one being one of 4 or 6 if you have the DLCs, the options being Jack or the Convict, Okeer or the Warlord, Mordin or the Professor, Archangel, and the DLC characters being Kasumi or the Master Thief and Zaid or the Veteran. Now I'm playing the Legendary Edition, so I have both DLC characters, so the first one I recruit is Kasumi. This is Kasumi Goto, voiced by Kim Hoi. She is the best thief in the galaxy and an incredibly skilled hacker. She decided to work for Cerberus on the accord that they would help her get something back, a grey box. Her mission involves going to the planet Beckenstein, where Donovan Hawk's residence is. The idea behind the mission is to infiltrate the house as he is throwing a party, and get into his vault to steal said grey box. After getting the password for the vault, getting DNA from his bedroom, getting his voice by making him talk too much, and disabling the security, we proceed to go inside. Inside this vault, there are a ton of things which we can see, including the head of the Statue of Liberty, which Kasumi has the same reaction as us over. Turns out that it was a trap, and that Hawk recognized Kasumi at the entrance. After fighting through a bunch of mobs, we get an annoying boss fight with mandatory phases. It's one of those fights where you don't really fight the boss, but instead the minions he throws at you. After defeating Hawk and killing him, we escape with the Grey Box. Keiji Okuda, Kasumi's dead boyfriend, tells her in one of those "If you're seeing these I'm dead" messages to destroy the Grey Box, but Kasumi doesn't want that. Now normally these missions are called loyalty missions. The reason for this is that how the mission plays out makes it so that a character is loyal to you or not. I will explain what that's for later. In Kasumi's case, it doesn't matter what decision you make, as she will become loyal, nonetheless. The only way for her not to be loyal at the end of the game is to not do her mission, which does have an impact on Mass Effect 3. Anyway, after recruiting Kasumi, we proceed to go to the Warlord. The Warlord is in a planet where the Blue Suns are raiding his lab because they want more artificial Krogan to kill for the Blue Suns. After a bunch of fighting, we get to Aukir, who tells us that his deal is to get his perfect Krogan out of the planet safe and sound. But as that's happening, the leader of the Blue Suns group is releasing the Berserker Krogan and wreaking havoc, so we put a stop to that. But oh no! It turns out that in the minute and a half that the fight lasted, Aukir's lab was filled with poisonous gas and he is found dead with a message telling us that he doesn't know anything about the Collectors, but he leaves us with his magnum opus. We decide what to do with the tank. You can either open it or keep it sealed. Obviously the answer is to open it, and we meet our newest friend, who decides to call himself Grunt. His loyalty mission involves basically him growing up. He is basically going through puberty and wants to smash things up and kill, so we need a Krogan opinion on that. We go to Tuchanka, the home planet of the Krogan, devastated because of Krogan wars, and we meet their leader, that being Arnold Rex, our friend from Mass Effect 1. Turns out that he is trying to unite the clans for the fight against the Reapers and to basically take the council to find a way to cure the genophage and make Tuchanka a green planet again. Anyway, back to Grunt. Rex proceeds to tell us that he needs to undergo the rite of passage, but we get opposition from another group. They don't really matter because we headbutt him and proceed to go into it anyway, and it's just a survival game mode. 3 waves of enemies, the last one having a Thresher Maw, which we proceed to kill, being the first one to do it since Rex himself. Then the guy that opposed us before appears again and tells us that he will accept Grunt if he is under control, and as he is not a natural born Krogan, so he cannot mate and whatnot. We then proceed to blow his head off, and then we get off the planet. Pretty quick mission, also extremely easy to earn Grunt's loyalty, as you literally cannot not get it. The next objective is a prison. Our objective? To retrieve Subject 0, the biggest, baddest, and craziest psycho biotic in the galaxy. We meet with the captain of the ship, who basically tells us that the ship runs on extortion money, as they make the planets pay for the inmates' stay, otherwise they release them. This already makes the mission kinda suspicious at the start, but we proceed anyway. The leader of the prison wanted us trapped more than the money from Cerberus, so we kill a bunch of people and free Jack, causing mayhem in the ship and basically killing almost every inmate in it. After the boss fight of the mission, being the captain himself, we reunite with Jack, who is throwing a fit after seeing that our ship is flagged with Cerberus colors. She then explains that she hates Cerberus as they tortured her as a kid and experimented on her. So her deal is that she wants access to the Cerberus databases to find names and places to take revenge on people. Her loyalty mission concerns the facility where she was raised, and her objective is to go to her cell and plant a bomb on it. Throughout the mission, Jack explains everything that went down, how they put the kids in pits to fight each other, but secrets of the place also get revealed. Turns out that the place went rogue, and that the facility was not operating under Cerberus command, because they were hiding the experiments from the Elusive Man. It is also revealed that the tests they did on the other kids were to make sure that Jack would survive said experiments, and when one day the kids rebelled, Jack also used this chance to basically kill all the guards and flee. But it turns out that not everybody died, and one of the kids also survived, and he wants to revive this place, saying that
everything we went through must have been worth something.
Jack obviously threatens to kill him, but we could stop her or not. I decide to stop her, and then we get more snippets of her past. The window to her cell was a 2-way window. She thought it was 1 way only, cause whenever she screamed to the other kids they wouldn't listen. She would cry under her table, and sleep was her only moment of peace. We also see the bloodstain of the guard she first killed. Proceed to blow herself. She is also a romance option for a male shepherd, although throughout the game there is one decision for us to have casual sex with her once, but that locks you out of the romance. The last 3 people we have to recruit are in Omega. Omega is this gigantic mushroom-looking space station that I'm pretty sure the Halo TV show just ripped off. Like, look at this. Anyway, we proceed to talk with the leader of the Omega, Arya Talok. She's an Asari, and she basically gives us information on Archangel and Mordin. Turns out that Archangel is cornered by all the gangs in Omega, being the Blue Suns, Eclipse, and the Blood Pack. On the other hand, Mordin is running a flea clinic, trying to fight against a disease that affects every species on Omega except for humans and the Vorcha. Before all of that, we recruit Zaid, a mercenary, who is in the middle of one of his jobs to capture someone. His deal is that we must help him basically kill someone. His mission takes us to a refinery on a different planet. The refinery has been taken over by the Blue Suns, and one of the creators of the Blue Suns, Vido Santiago, is in said place. We get lore of who Zaid originally was. Turns out that he created the Blue Suns with Vido decades ago, but was betrayed by him over a disagreement. Vido was set on recruiting Batarians for the group, calling them cheap labor, while Zaid thought of them as terrorists, which resulted in him losing an eye. After a failed attack, the refinery starts to burn due to Zaid's actions, and we have 2 options: either go after Vido or save the people in the place. We proceed to save the people, or at least that's what I always choose, but Vido gets away. Some rubble falls on Zaid, and in comes a big decision, and that's to earn his loyalty. The only way to get his loyalty is with enough Paragon points and make him realize that becoming crazy like this will jeopardize the mission, so he should forget his desire for vengeance at least until the mission is over, which he does, and we have earned his loyalty.
You're part of a team now, Zaid. There's no way we can do this unless we're all working together.
You have a point. I'm not done with Vido, but I can put that behind me long enough to get your mission done.
We proceed to go back to Omega and choose whether to recruit Archangel or Mordin. For the sake of development, I think Mordin should be the last one, which is what I did. The plan for Archangel is to get recruited into the people that are trying to kill him, which makes us act as bait. After modifying a bit the enemy's resources, like this mech and the chopper, we go down the bridge killing the other mechs. We get to the 2nd floor of the building and... Wait a second, I know that head shape. Is that...
Shepard. I thought you were dead.
Just look at how happy Shepard is to see his best friend. So yeah, Garrus is Archangel, which you already knew if you watched my review of Homeworlds 3. Sorry. Anyway, after holding position for a really long time and fighting all 3 gangs and their leaders, the chopper that we crippled shoots Garrus and makes it look like he's dead. After blowing up the chopper, we check on Garrus, who's barely alive, and we get him to top condition again. Though this time even uglier than before, as Shepard says.
Hell, Garrus, you were always ugly. Slap some face paint on there, and no one will even notice.
Garrus' mission involves a Turian named Sidonis, the guy that betrayed his team and got all of them killed except for Garrus and the aforementioned. Our first lead is a guy called Fate, who basically makes people disappear. After meeting a Bolus that wasn't Fate, we get to his location and it turns out that it's Harking? You're probably asking who even this guy is, depending on your decisions on Mass Effect 1, but just know that this guy is an ex-CSEC that was a drunk, so he got fired. And in Mass Effect 1, you can talk with him to get Garrus' location. Anyway, after another set of battles, Fate tells us where Sidonis is, not before a bit of threats and shooting him in the leg.
But I don't mind slowing you down a little. Maybe give CC the blood trail a follow.
We get to Sidonis, and we try to talk to him. He says that he was forced to betray his people, or he would be killed, and since then he doesn't eat or sleep. Now, in my opinion, all of these are just excuses, but they are reasonable. We do stupid things when we are scared. So we step aside and then let him die in peace.
No more sleepless nights.
For either of us, Sidonis.
And thank you.
Garrus' loyalty is also earned, and you cannot fail this, which also goes to show even further how much of a friend Garrus really is. Garrus is also a romance option for a female Shepard, and he might as well be the second best romance in the entire franchise. The last guy is Mordin Solus. Turns out that Omega is suffering from a plague, and every non-human blames it on the humans because we do not get it, therefore it must be our doing. We go through multiple territories and fight the Blood Pack, and our objective is to get to the clinic that Mordin opened to cure the plague. Along the way we can save a couple and a Batarian, but they don't add too much. We get to the clinic where we find Mordin Solus, an ex-STG agent and the most brilliant biologist in the galaxy. He tells us that he has the cure, but he needs it to be deployed through the station's ventilation system. So we go there, where Aborcha proceeds to tell us that the collectors were the ones spreading the plague. We manage to get everything working and then we leave. His loyalty mission involves going to Tuchanka to save his ex-pupil who was kidnapped by the Blood Pack. We go there and after a bunch of fighting, we find a body, where Mordin proceeds to tell us that the humans are the most genetically diverse race in the galaxy. And we see a bit of his view on experiments. He believes that experiments on human beings should not be a thing, and that if they wanted to make a genophage cure, the best way to do it would be to test on local races like the Varren. We proceed to go even deeper into the base, where we find bodies of female Krogan having died from the experiment, which offers even more insight into Mordin's life. Where after the modification of the genophage, he searched religion to find a way to get over his doubts. We fight the leader of the Blood Pack and then find Malon, Mordin's ex-pupil, who turns out wasn't kidnapped at all. He went there because he believed that saving the genophage was the correct thing to do, and Gran Weirlock had the balls to give him what he wanted to cure it. After stopping Mordin from killing Malon, we have all of this data, and we decide what to do with it. We can save it or scrap it. I believe that if the damage is already done, and this research could become valuable in the future, then there is no reason to scrap it and we're better off saving it. So we decide to save it and delete the local save. We also get Mordin's loyalty, another one you can't fail. Now that we have everybody, the Elusive Man gives us an urgent message about a new colony that's about to be attacked by the Collectors, which is suspicious because how does he know? Well, there's a reason for that. Mordin has been working on a cure to the Collector Dome paralytic agent, and he got it made just before we go to Horizon. In Horizon, Ashley, or Kaidan, depending on who you save, is stationed trying to get the colony to be safer, but nobody there trusts the Alliance, and by association, her. The colony is then attacked by the Collectors, where they take everyone. We proceed to go down to it and look at the gigantic ship, Jesus Christ. Anyway, we fight the Collectors, who will sometimes be controlled by the big guy at the top and become more powerful. Throughout the fights that we do, we start seeing husks and other Reaper-like entities, which confirms that their Collectors are working from them, so we need to get rid of the Collector ship. We go to the middle to activate the turrets, but we need ED's help for that. After fighting a bunch of enemies and a new type of annoying semi-boss, we blast the Collector ship, do negative damage, and they blast off with every colonist. Suddenly Ashley appears, and we have a discussion over how we could stay silent for 2 years, how could we betray the Alliance, etc, etc. It's just a very infuriating discussion. She reveals that the reason she's there is because the Alliance thought that Cerberus was behind the abductions, and she was sent there to protect the colony after receiving a tip. Anyway, after a very infuriating talk with our ex-lover, we get out of there and confront the Elusive Man, who tells us that he took a calculated risk by leaking information to the Alliance, saying that Cerberus would attack Horizon, to confirm that in fact the Collectors and therefore the Reapers are interested in Shepard by making the Alliance send Ashley there. After this, we get 3 more dossiers, and on a mission to visit Liara Tassoni on Ilium. We also get Jacob's loyalty mission and Miranda's. Let's start with Jacob's. Jacob's father was first officer of the Hugo Gernsback, a ship that went missing 10 years ago, but is now asking for help from a random planet. We go there and bit by bit uncover everything that went down. Turns out that the ship had to go into rapid descent into the planet, and that the captain died in the crash, so Ronald Taylor became the new captain. As they stayed there eating the local food, their minds became corrupted, and Ronald Taylor decided that the best idea would be to exile every man and create a harem. All of this while deactivating the beacon. But things got out of control after 10 years, and more people started rebelling, so he asked for help.
This is Captain Ronald Taylor. Thank God you're here. My crew went insane. I only just got free.
We go to his location and fight a bunch of armed robots and raging men, and we talk with him. At first, he doesn't recognize Jacob, so he tries to tell us that we will be rewarded for our services, and then we present ourselves.
Commander Shepard of the Normandy. I believe you're acquainted with Mr. Taylor.
And the guy is stun-locked seeing his son, believing that's not him. He tries to make every excuse in the book, but nobody believes him, so Jacob aims at him. So we get a decision. We could either put him in jail or tell Jacob that we should shoot him, making Jacob leave him a gun to kill himself. The law in this case just feels better. We go back to the Normandy having arrested Ronald and rescued all his crew, and we get a cutscene where it turns out that Miranda was the one that gave information to Jacob, as he has wanted closure with his father for years, and we get a bit of lore and the relationship they shared before. We also earn Jacob's loyalty. Again, you can't fail this one. Jacob is also an option for a female shepherd, but if you're planning on doing a run to romance him, just forget it. You'll see why. Next is Miranda's loyalty mission. This one involves her sister. Turns out that her father basically created Miranda, but Oriana, her sister, was just a normal girl, so Miranda decided to rescue her from her father when she was younger. After getting in contact with a friend of Miranda's, turns out that the Eclipse has Niket, Miranda's friend, and are trying to get Oriana, and they are probably working for her father. After a bunch of fighting, we get a communication from the Eclipse leader saying that Niket is in fact working with them, which Miranda doubts. So when we get there and he tells us everything that went down, Miranda wants to kill him for being a loose end. Turns out that Niket didn't know that Miranda had kidnapped, as he puts it, her little sister, and he believes she would be better off with her rich father. Now obviously this doesn't end well, as the Eclipse leader just blasts him, so we kill her.
I never want to see you again, Niket.
Done. Now, if you don't mind, I have a shipment to deliver.
You'll die for that, bitch!
After all of this is done, we go to where Oriana is, and we tell Miranda that she should talk with her, just to let her know that she has a sister that loves her very much.
Don't you even want to say hello?
It's not about what I want, it's about what's right for her. The less she knows about me, the better. She's got a family, a life. I'll just complicate that for her.
She doesn't need any details. But would it really be so bad for her to know she has a sister who loves her?
I guess not.
Turns out that they are very similar and have very similar tastes, and she wants to be a civil engineer, if I remember correctly. We then leave and we get Miranda's loyalty. Again, you can't fail this one. She is also a romance option for a male shepherd. After this mission, and after you have done both Miranda and Jack's mission, they get into a fight, where Miranda is too proud to admit that Cerberus was the one that did all of those things to Jack as a kid. We put a stop to the fight, saying that we should save all that rage for the Collectors and the Reapers, and they agree to put their difference aside until then. If you choose to side with either of them, you lose the loyalty of the other, so be careful. Now for the next character, who is gonna be Tali. He's in Haystrom, an ex-Quarian colony that is in peril due to its sun being too hot and emitting too much radiation, and they get Huffer and her team cornered. After going through the battlefield and seeing all the dead Quarian, we had snippets of Tali's journals where she mentions Shepard multiple times, and even one time where she straight up wishes you were there.
We need a core sample to get a timeline on the rate of radiation increase, but our equipment keeps dying on us. Shepard once used a mining laser to clear some rubble back on Therum. Maybe I can do something similar with demolition charges. Our ancestors walked these halls with uncovered heads. The sun must have been normal back then. So much space, walls of stone. It's amazing. I wish my friends could see it. I wish Shepard were here.
Anyway, we meet Carl Rieger, a member of Tali's protection squad, and we tell him to stand down, otherwise he will die. So we fight a bunch of Geth, including an Armatost or Goliath or whatever the game calls it, I don't remember, and we rescue Tali. She tells us the reason they are there, and we proceed to take care of the flotilla, which they agree to the transfer. A couple of weeks later, she gets a message that she has been accused of treason, of bringing live Geth to the flotilla and endangering the entire race. So we go to the flotilla, which looks sick, like, look at this, it's the biggest fleet in the galaxy as well. Turns out that Tali has been sending spare parts to his father and to try and counter the Geth. We go to the court with 4 admirals, and turns out that the ship that her father was in has been taken over by the Geth, killing everyone, including her father. Allegedly.
Then explain how Geth seized the lab ship where your father was working.
What are you talking about? What happened?
As far as we can tell, Tali, the Geth have killed everyone on the Alarai. Your father included.
What? Oh, Keela.
Now obviously she didn't know, so we tell the Quarians that the Normandy is ready to help. Before helping, we can talk with the people there, including Vitor, who is feeling much better, Calrigar, who somehow survived his injuries, and the 4 admirals. Admiral Shen is obsessed with the Geth and wants to bring them back under control of the Quarians. Admiral Ra'an was a good friend of Tali's father and pretty much another mother to her, so she had to step down from declaring judgment on Tali, and didn't tell her about her father because they needed to see her reaction. We also get small lore pieces of Tali's past and how Quarians are born, which I thought was cool. Admiral Gerrel believes that the war is needed to take their home world back. And finally, Admiral Corres believes in peace between their people and the Geth, which is why he is instigating even more fights against them. We also talk about his ship name, the Quip, which is just a hilarious name. We go to the Alarai, as the ship is called, and is filled with Geth, more than they should be. And through the computers in the ship we get pieces of what happened. Turns out that Tali's father wanted to keep his promise, so he tried studying the Geth and building some to try and counter them and win back their home planet, but that backfired. Tali gives us bits of what she was sent and how she sends it, and then we get the worst news.
No. You always had a plan. Masked life signs or an onboard medical stasis program maybe. You wouldn't. They're wrong. You wouldn't just die like this.
Her father is dead. We can hug her, which is always the correct thing to do, and her father tells her that the Geth are trying to connect to the central hub and attack the flotilla, which obviously we stop. We go back to the main ship after taking back the Alarai, not before Tali tells us not to say anything about her father, and that she would rather be exiled than have her father become the worst criminal in her race's history. But we don't need to do either, as Shepard's Talk no Jutsu makes it so that her father is not declared guilty and Tali is freed, as their political bullshit is abusing her to generate a bigger crack on the current politics.
Tali helped me defeat Saren and the Geth at the Citadel. That should be all the evidence you need.
I fail to see what relevance...
You're not really interested in Tali, are you? This trial isn't about her. It's about the Geth.
This hearing has nothing to do with the Geth.
You want people to sympathize with them. And Geralt wants to go to war. None of you care about Tali. She knows more about the Geth than any other Quarian alive. You should be listening to her, not putting her on trial. Tali Zora saved the Citadel. She saved the Alarai. She showed the galaxy the value of the Quarian people. I can't think of stronger evidence than that.
Are the admirals prepared to render the judgment? Tali Zora, in light of your history of service, we do not find sufficient evidence to convict. You are cleared of all charges. Commander Shepard, please accept these gifts.
We earn Tali's loyalty, and she says that nobody has spoken for her like that. Her loyalty is also hard to fail, you just have to listen to her. As long as her father isn't declared guilty, she will be loyal. Anyway, as I said multiple times, she is a romance option for a male Shepard. I will talk about that later. Before that, we get an incoming transmission from the elusive man telling us that the Turian patrol managed to stop a collector ship, but something is fishy. We go there to investigate and find empty pods and human bodies, and we also discover something huge.
These are only preliminary experiments, but they reveal something remarkable. A quad-strand genetic structure identical to traces collected from ancient ruins. Only one race is known to have this structure, the Protheans.
Yep, the Collectors are extremely modified Protheans, who now serve the Reapers. We get a new weapon, in my case I didn't have assault rifles, so now I do, and we get one of the craziest images in the game.
This is unbelievable. So many pods. Could depopulate all Terminus systems. Still wouldn't fill them. They're going to target Earth.
Not if we stop them.
They could take billions of people and they will still have space left. That's how big this ship is, and the ship is like finger size compared to the entire Collector base, so just you wait. Anyway, after an ambush from the Collectors, turns out that the elusive one knew this was a trap, as he wrote the code that detected said trap, but he deemed the risk worthy to get information. At this point you should already be pissed at him, because everything he does is worth the risk, but he never tells us said risks. We can talk to Morten at this point, who will tell us that the Collectors are a race that's culturally dead, so there is no way of helping them, as they have no art, no music, nothing. We also get the best dialogue in the game, and that's Morten singing.
I am the very model of a scientist Solarian. I've studied species Turian, Asari, and Batarian. I'm quite good at genetics as a subset of biology because I am an expert, which I know is a tautology. My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of a scientist Solarian.
We can also begin our romance option. In my case I went with Tali for the third time, just because I cannot contain myself. It's just hearing her speak and I just melt. She gets extremely flustered, even though she was the one that started flirting with us first. Anyway, she says that she will try her hardest so that Shepard can see what's under the helmet. We go back to Ilium, where we talk to Liara Tsoni, now an information broker on Ilium. We hug and talk a bit about getting your body back. We also get information on how to find the Justicar and the Assassin. We can also attack the Shadow Broker base, but let's leave that for the end. To find the Assassin, we must talk with an officer that tells us that Thane is in the Dantius Towers, and his objective is most likely Nasana Dantius. If you did most of the side missions in Mass Effect 1, that name should ring a bell. Anyway, after going up the tower and talking with the workers there, it shows how Nasana mistreats her workers, so she had it coming. We continue fighting the Eclipse that work for her, and we get to her office. In there, she believes that we have come to kill her, which she is clearly delusional. We hear Thane in the ceiling and let him do his job.
Stay put. When I'm finished dealing with this nuisance, you and I are going to...
This is Thane Krios, a Drell assassin that's dying, and before that, he wants to make the galaxy a better place, so he is killing criminals. He says he will work for us free of charge. His mission involves his son, who has lost himself and has found a way to get into the same line of job as his father. We go to the Citadel where Bailey tells us to talk with Mouse, a dog rat kid that serves as an information working for Assassin and the like. Turns out that Thane knows him and basically makes him tell him who hired his son, a human named Elias Kellan, whom after a series of interrogations that can go renegade very easily, tells us that he has hired Kolyat to kill a Turian named Joram Talid. Talid is extremely anti-human, so he has earned a few enemies.
Amon Kira, Lord of Hunters, grant that my hands be steady, my aim be true, and my feet swift. And should the worst come to pass, grant me forgiveness.
After a stealth mission following Talid, we manage to catch up to Kolyat just before he is about to kill him. We will distract him and save Talid. We then leave him and his father to talk, as Thane doesn't have much time left.
They've been in there a while.
The kid's been through a lot. I ran some searches in the CSEC archive. About 10 years back, a bunch of real bad people were killed. Like someone was cleaning house. The prime suspect was a Drell. We never caught him.
10 years is a long time. Whoever was responsible for that probably doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that.
And he explained that his mother died because his enemies were trying to kill him. After a couple of hours of talks, we tell Bailey to give the kid community service. A bit weird if you ask me, because he killed people, but they were all terrible people, so there's that at least. And we earn Thane's loyalty. Thane is also a romance choice for a female Shepard, and he might be the saddest one of them all. We'll get to that. And finally, our last dossier, the Justicar Samara. We talk with the officer who brings us to the place where the justice car is. Detective Anaya was ordered by her superiors to stop Samara, but she is too scared to do so, as justice cars follow the highest laws of the Asari and would be forced to kill the detective were she to be stopped. So, we talk with Samara, who tells us that she needs the name of a ship, as she is looking for a fugitive. We've promised to find the name of that ship, so she goes with the detective and stays there. We talk with Pete Nefor, one of the suspects of a series of crimes that the detective is investigating as a side plot to all of this, who gives us a key to enter. We fight through the Eclipse, killing one of them named Elnora, who turns out to be the killer that the detective was looking for, and we find evidence that Pitney Ford was smuggling red sand. After a funny conversation with Pitney's partner,
"Are you mad? I'm unstoppable, feasting on her biotic-rich blood."
we find the boss of the Eclipse, kill her and find the name of the ship, so Samara can now join us in our mission.
By the code, I will serve you, Shepard. Your choices are my choices. Your morals are my morals. Your wishes are my code.
Her loyalty mission involves a daughter called Morin, who is an Ardite Yakshi. An Ardite Yakshi is like a succubus, everything about them seduces you, and once they do, they kill you. We go to Omega and talk with Arya, who gives us the location of a girl that died way too cleanly. We talk with the girl's mother and we investigate the room, which gives us hints to charm Morin. We go to the club and after a couple of minor activities, Morin talks with us. We have to choose the right options in our conversation with her, like a certain band, a certain artist, and a movie called Baenia. We go to her apartment and reveal that Samara was the one that puts us there. So we have two options, either we kill Morin or Samara. Killing Samara makes Morin replace her, face included, but the crew will notice something is wrong. This one is also funny, as you can have sex with Morin, but that will give you a death screen, like, literally. Anyway, the correct option here is saving Samara, who then becomes loyal. This mission also showcases the pain of a 1,000-year-old mother having to kill her own child just because of a kind of disease, but at least she has two other kids that decide to alienate themselves from the world. After all of this is done, we get a message from the elusive man that there is an object, an IFF, that we need to go through the Omega 4 relay and also the Collector base, and it is located inside a derelict Reaper, a dead one that is floating in space, but the Cerberus team inside has stopped responding. This is the last mission you should do, by the way. You should have no other missions available before this one, because if you do have some, you will have a very strict timing later down the line. We go into that Reaper, and through the computers there we get to what happened. The minds of the people working there became corrupted little by little, and obviously they are being indoctrinated. We find a structure that looks like a church, and we get one of the coolest phrases in the game.
Chandana said the ship was dead. We trusted him. He was right, but even a dead god can dream. A real god is a verb, not some old man with magic powers. It's a force. It warps reality just by being there.
Anyway, a sniper suddenly starts shooting the husks that we find. Turns out that it's a Geth that can speak, and he recognizes us and is wearing our old armor. We take the IFF and go to the core of the river, where said Geth is working to open it before being knocked down. We get into a fight with multiple enemies and we destroy the core, and we take the Geth with us. It is revealed that the Collector base is in the center of the galaxy, which explains why no ship manages to get back from the relay safe. Inside the Normandy, we decide what to do with it, meaning waking it up. It talks with us and tells us that the Geth that are following the rivers are heretics, and that all the Geth in front of Shepard, the 1100 there are, want to help Shepard defeat said heretics. So after deciding on a name for the unit in front of us with the help of Edie, we get our final companion.
My name is Legion, for we are many.
Well, that seems appropriate.
Christian Bible, the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verse 9. We acknowledge this is an appropriate metaphor.
His mission involves going to a Geth base and either rewriting or deleting said heretics. Before that, we get this funny conversation.
You know it's just our heat emissions that are hidden, right? They could look out a window and see us coming.
Windows are structural weaknesses. Geth, do not use them. Approach the hull at these coordinates. Access achieved. We may proceed.
We get more lore about the Geth and how they work. The Geth are only software, and through hardware, they share experiences with each other. And without said hardware, the world becomes empty. But this comes with the problem that there are no individuals, only Geth, and they are all Geth. After a bunch of fighting and whatnot, we get the decision to either make the Geth within Legion stronger by rewriting the heretics or destroying them. In my case, I choose to override them, but it is a hard decision because you are brainwashing an entire race, although the Reapers already did that before us. By the way, I recommend bringing Tali to this mission as she says a lot. We earn Legion's loyalty and we get out of there. As with Jack and Miranda, Tali and Legion get into a confrontation because Legion wanted to send to the Geth information about the flotilla, so we put a stop to their bickering by making each other compromise and send info to one another. Otherwise, you will lose the loyalty of whoever you sided against. After all of this is said and done, this happened.
I'm telling you, Edie, your readings are off. It's radiation bleed, just white noise.
I have detected a signal embedded in the static. We are transmitting the Normandy's location.
Transmitting? To who? Oh, shit! Getting out of here!
Propulsion systems are disabled. I'm detecting a virus in the ship's computers.
From the IFF? Damn it, why didn't you scrub it?
Primary defense systems are offline. We can save the Normandy, Mr. Moreau, but you must help me. Give me the ship.
What? You're crazy! You start singing Daisy Bell and I'm done.
Unlock my sealed databases and I can initiate countermeasures. The maintenance shaft in the science lab will allow passage to the AI core. Main corridors are no longer safe. The collectors have boarded. The emergency floor lighting will guide you, Mr. Moreau.
God damn it.
Yeah, the collectors attack our ship, just as we leave and capture everyone except for Joker, who we get to play as for a bit, trying to give control of the ship to Edie. We come back and Miranda for some reason is pissed at Joker, like, girl, what did you want him to do? Anyway, this is the mission I meant. After this happened, you should not do any other mission, and I will say why when we get to the final mission. Now it is the time to talk about Normandy upgrades. As you recruit more and more people, and only after recruiting more than, we get the option to upgrade the Normandy, and we can get new weapons from Garrus, new shields from Miranda, more fuel from Samara, etc, etc. These upgrades are a must for our final mission. We get our final romance scene with our partner, in my case Tali, which we don't get to see without the helmet sadly. We cross the Omega 4 relay and get to the center of the galaxy, where the collector base is. This is where the Normandy upgrades matter a lot because we take a lot of hits and need to do a lot of damage, otherwise a lot of people will die later down the line. We infiltrate the collector base and get the most famous mission in the Mass Effect franchise, the Suicide Mission. This is where the loyalty of our companions matter and the decision we make in the mission itself. We have to choose someone to open doors through a vent, meaning someone tech heavy. In my case, I choose Legion. Then we have to choose a leader for the second team. In my case, I choose Miranda. If they are not loyal and you didn't choose the correct option, all your companions will die except for like a couple of people. But if you choose correctly and they are loyal, they will survive. We find the people that the collectors took. This is where the number of missions done after the crew gets kidnapped matter. If you see Lilith from Horizon, it means everything is good. If you see Kelly Chamber, it means you fucked up. We rescue them and send one person with them back to the Normandy. It must be someone loyal, in my case I said Kazumi, because otherwise they will all die. Again. We then proceed to the next part, and again we have to choose someone to lead the second team and a biotic to save us from the Seekers run. In my case I choose Samara, as she is probably the most powerful biotic in the squad, either that or Jack. We walk through the enemies, and if you choose correctly, the biotic in question will just brush it off, otherwise they will collapse and die. We then get the final decision. We must take 2 allies for the final boss fight. And in here is a final check that the game doesn't tell you. It turns out that all your allies have a defensive number, and people like Tali and Mordin have the lowest. And for the final boss fight you want to take the least defensive companions so that the defense value of the other squad is high enough. We got the final reveal. Turns out that the collectors were kidnapping humans not only to get back at Shepard, but also to create a human river. Look at the size of that thing. We blow supports, making it fall, and we get more enemies, and then we fight their gigantic river itself. The boss fight is extremely easy, at least on normal, and powers like Reef just destroy him. After the Reaper is dealt with, we get one final decision: to save the base by killing the collectors and only the collectors, or destroy the entire base. As we did with the Genophage, if it wasn't servers, the correct option would be to save it, which is why I destroyed it. I don't want to give this guy anything. Sadly, this decision does not matter at all. literally, at all. We will get to that in the final discussion of the trilogy. We get a final cutscene with Tim, and the game ends with our life companions looking at us for the future. Now, before we finish, the game has 3 DLCs. Technically 4, but one of them is just minor things, so let's talk about them. First, we have...
Thank God you came. My name is Dr. Gavin Archer.
So, the overall DLC utilizes the Hammerhead, the new vehicle for this game. It is better than the Mako, but not by that much, as it is extremely frail. Anyway, the mission involves a Cerberus base where an AI has taken over, and Dr. Gavin Archer explains that it's his brother. We must blow the antenna, otherwise the AI will go off planet and cause havoc. So, we proceed to fight hundreds of Geth that the AI has taken over, and we destroy the antenna.
You've done it. You've severed the link to the satellite.
You've got to be kidding. Boom! The whole thing's giving way!
We then get the mission to go to the main place where his brother is, but to do that we have to deactivate 2 bases. One in a volcanic place, which we do swiftly, and another one in a Geth ship, where we fight even more Geth and a gigantic Geth cannon. Once those 2 places are dealt with, we go to the middle base, where we get lured into a place and we get transported into the... Matrix? I don't know how this is possible, but hey, here we are. We get lore about what happened. Turns out that Archer's brother was a mathematical savant, which in this world means he can communicate with the Geth, somehow. So they use this to get him to be an AI to control the Geth, but it backfired, as being a mathematical savant makes you extremely autistic. We get the final fight, which isn't really a fight, and the final reveal. We see what's basically a kid that's good with math being tortured while hooked to a machine, and asking for the noise to go away. We then decide what to do with him. We can send him to Christian Academy or leave him with his brother. The correct option is to send him away, and the DLC ends. Short, straight to the point, and the Hammerhead is somewhat fun.
It's pointless to challenge me, Asari. I know your every secret, while you fumble in the dark.
Once we meet Liara on Ilium, we get the possibility to assault the Shadow Broker base, so we decide to meet on her apartment. Once we get there, turns out that she was attacked, and we meet with fellow Spectre Telavasir, who helps us get her location, which is in a building where she was planning to make her contact for information on the Shadow Broker. We get to that building, and some terrorists blow it up to silence her, killing hundreds of civilians in the meantime. We fight a group of individuals that we should not know who they are, but the HUD tells us anyway. Again. We get to where Liara's contact is, who is already dead, and turns out that Vasir was the one that tried to kill Liara, so she flees and we proceed to go after her. We grab a taxi, and this is probably where the comedy of the franchise begins, because this sequence is hilarious. Just hear this.
What kind of guns does this thing have?
It's a taxi. It has a fare meter.
Wonderful.
Truck.
I know.
Truck.
I know. There we go.
You're enjoying this. A head-on collision at this speed.
Yeah, I hear those can be bad for you.
Truck.
Again?
This is the comedy that the game would use in the Citadel DLC, the best DLC in the franchise. Anyway, we catch up to her, and after an annoying boss fight, she calls us a hypocrite because we are working with Cerberus, a terrorist organization, while she is working with a Shadow Broker who has given her a lot of information throughout the years. After this, we get a conversation with Liara, which we can Paragon interrupt multiple times because she is desperate and angry, and doesn't care about all that just happened. Basically telling us that those 2 years took a big toll on her mental health. We discover where the Shadow Broker is, and after fighting more Shadow Broker forces and getting more comedy beats that I find very funny, We get inside the ship.
You sure that shunt is working?
It's illegal even on Ilium. It didn't come with a warranty.
But you tested it, right?
Here come more of them.
Tell me you tested it.
No time to talk.
Liara,
I'm sure it won't be much longer.
remember the old days when you could just slap Omnigel on everything?
That security upgrade made a lot of people unhappy. Look out, more on the way. Their attacks are disorganized. They'd be more effective if they all attacked at once.
Please don't give the mercs ideas.
The next wave looks like a big one.
You just had to give them tactical advice.
But now there'll be fewer left to deal with inside.
Keep dreaming, Dasoni.
We fight more enemies and get to the Shadow Broker, who throws a bit of lore about the third person we brought, in my case about Tali and what she has done on Haystrom. What changes from person to person, and no, before you ask, they don't say anything. So it turns out that the Shadow Broker is a yak, and probably killed the previous Shadow Broker. So we fight him in an interesting fight, and he gets completely incinerated by electricity. Farron gets freed, and Liara becomes the new Shadow Broker, meaning that we will have a lot of information in Mass Effect 3. Anyway, Liara breaks down as her pains are finally over after 2 years, and we get the ship as an ill base, which has some cool things in it but nothing insane. But we can read the things that our partner has bought. For example, if you romance Tali, the Shadow Broker info says that she has bought a book about mating with other species. Anyway, the best part about this DLC is the comedy. It's fantastic, honestly, and I'm so glad that they decided to follow it in Mass Effect 3.
Here we are. Welcome to Project Base.
The final DLC of the bunch, and the one that has a much more direct impact in Mass Effect 3. Admiral Hackett gives us the order to rescue Amanda Kenson as a favor to him from a Batarian prison. We go to said prison and find out that she wanted to destroy a mass relay. Once rescued, she tells us that the Reapers are coming to this mass relay, and that the Arrival project was made to destroy this closest mass relay. When we get to the project's location, we find Object Rho, who is left in the open. I don't think I need to say what happens here, everyone there is indoctrinated, and we have 2 days to destroy the relay. We get knocked down after one of those unwinnable fights, and wake up after 2 days, with the person in charge of administering the sedatives throwing a reference to the start of the game.
The sedatives aren't working. Security!
The red zone. It's not working.
Another dose. Now.
We wake up and fight through the indoctrinated staff and activate the project.
Project control.
I want to activate the project.
Warning. Activating the project will result in an estimated 305,000 casualties. Do you wish to continue?
We can try and warn the Batarian colonies, but we're interrupted by Kenson saying she will stop it anyway. We go down to the core and she's trying to overheat it, so we stop her and kill her, but she detonates a bomb which knocks us out for a couple of hours, making it so that we only have minutes to live. We signal the Nomad for pickup through a comm tower after fighting more enemies, and then this bug-looking thing appears. This is Harbinger, the leader of the Reapers. He has appeared multiple times throughout the base game, but I don't remember if he ever says his full name. Funny thing is, when his name is revealed, which again is through subtitles, because his name is just a verb, he uses it all the time, saying things like,
"We are the harbinger of their perfection."
I just thought that was funny, and kinda cool, honestly. After a bit of a speech from Shepard saying that we will not go down without a fight, we leave and the mass relay is destroyed, destroying that system as well. We then meet Admiral Hackett in person, who asks for what happened there. We confirm that the Reapers were coming and that Kenson knocked us out, and Hackett said something very rational.
I won't lie to you, Shepard. The Batarians will want blood, and there's just enough evidence for a witch hunt. And we don't want war with the Batarians. Not with the collectors out there taking our colonists.
We then say that we did what was necessary. We tell him that if needed, we will go back to Earth with our Blue Sun.
Evidence against you is shoddy at best. But at some point, You'll have to go to Earth and face the music. I can't stop it, but I can and will make them fight for it.
I'll gladly stand trial once this mission is done.
Glad to see working with Cerberus hasn't stripped away your sense of honor. Do whatever you have to do out here. But when Earth calls, you make sure you're there with your dress blues on, ready to take the hit. In the meantime, you keep this. I don't need to see a report to know you did the right thing.
Yes, sir.
You've done a hell of a thing, Commander.
It's very strange to me because in Mass Effect 1 Hagen was giving us side quests left and right, and in Mass Effect 2 is the first time we see his face and we meet him in person. And for such a relevant person in Mass Effect 3, it's kinda weird that this is the first time we see him. This DLC is the one that basically gives an origin to the start of Mass Effect 3, by the way, if you didn't know why Mass Effect 3 starts on Earth and not on the Normandy. Okay, now let's talk about what was upgraded, because honestly this game doesn't really have much bad to say about it, except for two things. It was improved a lot, with the classes that you choose making a much bigger impact on your gameplay, as they limit the options that you have. In my case, I chose Engineer because the drone seemed kinda useful. Not gonna lie, I didn't enjoy it. Anyway, the game also has very distinct weapons compared to Mass Effect 1, and thankfully they followed this in Mass Effect 3. We have a lot of companions that are different enough and are quite good in combat. They are no longer open world. Instead, you investigate each planet you find. At one point, Edie will say,
"Anomaly detected,"
which will be a side mission, the most memorable one being the Normandy crash site. The quests are quick, are fun, and the rewards are worth it. Technically, the loyalty missions are also side quests, as they are not necessary to progress the plot, which makes the quality of the side missions even better. While it is extremely convoluted, because at the end of the day you're following the main story and another 12 stories, I still consider it amazing. It sets up Mass Effect 3 really well. This game introduces a crap ton of characters, and they are all very unique and very cool. Their stories are compelling and interesting, and as I said before, they are useful in combat as well. Even the non-playable characters are good, except for one, but we'll get to that. Tim serves as an excellent villain in Mass Effect 2 and 3, which I think is an unpopular opinion in the community. I don't really know. The romance section in this game went from 3 in Mass Effect 1 to 8, although technically 9, and an extra one with Liara in the Shadow Broker DLC. The romances are extremely well developed. It's even better than 1, I don't really have much to say, it's amazing. Again, Jack Wall did an amazing job with it and created the Normandy Reborn theme, the best theme in the franchise. This new AI is basically what makes what I said in Mass Effect 1 become true. She is basically the Normandy, which makes the ship itself feel like another character, even without Edie. She will basically become another fully fledged character in Mass Effect 3, but we'll get to that. Now, this isn't so much of a super positive thing, I just want to talk about it because it's insane where this franchise went. As I said at the start, we have people like Martin Sheen, the father of Charlie Sheen, voicing the Elusive Man, but he's not the only super big name here. Shoure Agdaslu voices Admiral Rand, and Adam Baldwin voices Cal Rieger, which I didn't know until I started doing research on this video. Now, these are not the names I wanted to mention, because here's the funny part. Edie is voiced by Tricia Helfer. You might recognize her from Battlestar Galactica, the 2004 version, and this is very funny because in that series she plays an android, and in here she plays an AI that later has a body, which is funny. Bailey is voiced by Michael Hogan, who again you might recognize from Battlestar Galactica, as he plays one of its protagonists and one of the most important characters in the series. I'm not gonna spoil it. Grant is voiced by Steve Bloom. He also voices the Shadow Broker. I didn't know this until researching this video, and it makes sense as the voice acting for those two is pretty good. Samara is voiced by Maggie Baird. I don't really know how to pronounce that. Now you might be asking, who is that? Well, she is the mother of Phineas O'Connor, and you might ask again, who the hell is that? Well, he is the brother to none other than Billie Eilish, which I just found very funny. I didn't know that Billie Eilish's mom was an actress. And this is the one I wanted to talk about the most, Arya Talok. Now most of you are saying, why her? She's a Disney small character. Is it really that impressive? Well, she is voiced by none other than Carrie Ann Moss. Trinity herself is voicing Arya, and I'm gonna be honest, She is amazing at the role. Yuri Lowenthal is also in the game, but he voices minor characters throughout the game, and also Farron. But alas, not all is good, and again, some of the very small parts of the game are not great. This thing, this new character that got introduced as like an assistant to Shepard, she's the most nothing character in the trilogy. She tells us when someone wants to speak with us, and when we have received a message, which sometimes it's not even true. She was so disliked that she doesn't even appear in Mass Effect 3 if you didn't romance her. Because yes, she is a romance option. This is one of the sad things that I wish they could rewind time for, because in Mass Effect 3 we get a new assistant, and she is interesting, extremely useful, a great romance partner, and very funny. But alas, you can't really rewind time. In Mass Effect 1 we made a lot of decisions, and some of them very small. For some reason Mass Effect 2 just doesn't really do anything with some of them. Like, if you kill Fist or not only serves as a conversation in Omega. If you save Kaidan or Ashley makes zero difference, and we will get to Mass Effect 3 where the decisions matter even less. But I think the trend started here. Anyway, those two bad things are not enough to say the game is bad. Mass Effect 2 is still the 12th highest rated game in pages like IMDb. Just by itself, not even counting the trilogy, which goes to show how much people love this game, and many pages still to this day classify Mass Effect 2 as one of the best games ever made, which I wholeheartedly agree with. The game is pretty much perfect, but things are just small things. This game would end up selling 600,000 units on its opening weekend, being the second highest selling game behind Nintendo's New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And as I said previously, by 2011, both Mass Effect 1 and Mass Effect 2 had sold 7 million combined units, with approximately 5 of those being only Mass Effect 2. Let's get this over with, let's go to the things before Mass Effect 3, shall we? Because once we finish that game, I'm going to rant like hell. I'm probably even going to go off script for that final rant about the trilogy, so that's something to look forward to. As with the previous two games, production of Mass Effect 3 started a bit before the release of Mass Effect 2. Some of their objective with this sequel was to create a much more role-playing game and not always simplify things like they felt they did in Mass Effect 2. But not all was good. The main problem with the sequel was that Drew Karpyshyn, basically the creator of the series, was not returning for this game, as he was focused on the Old Republic. Neither did Jack Wall, the main composer for the previous two games. The game was officially announced on the Spike Video Game Awards in 2011, and during the subsequent months multiple videos would be available in all types of conferences, not without leaks, obviously, as in that same year some Xbox players had access to a beta that was not intended to exist, and the game was officially released in March of 2012. Now, it wasn't long until the game had its major controversies, but let's leave that for the end, shall we, because there is a lot to talk about. I forgot to mention this one before, this is the sequel to Ascension and Mass Effect 2. And this is a whole ass novel, so I'm not gonna go into detail. Also, if I were to, this video would probably get flagged as the contents of this novel are rather unsettling, let's say. Because this novel still follows Grayson, now in Omega, working for Aria, and tells the story of how he gets captured by Cerberus and basically tortured and turned into a guinea pig for the elusive man to test his control over the indoctrination of the Reapers. As with anything he does in Mass Effect 3, it doesn't go well, and Grayson almost causes the Reapers to invade Early, as he almost manages to send information to them, but is stopped by Anderson, Kaylee, and Kai Leng, whom Anderson shoots in the legs, as he mentions in Mass Effect 3. Yeah, Kai Leng is in this, and he is a major character, funnily enough. It basically sets up the desperation of the elusive man to take control of the Reapers, and it shows the lengths that he is willing to go to test it, and man, you can't help but feel bad for Grayson at this point. The guy was a Red Sun addict, Cerberus agent who only cared about the security of his daughter, but because the elusive man is an asshole, he gets tortured and ends up dying while indoctrinated. What a sad ending. I have nothing to say about this one, it generally feels like filler, basically. Bailey gets told by Udina that Executor Pauling is a traitor and is using C-Sec to undermine the Council. This all just leads to a confrontation between Bailey and Pauling, and he dies. Like, that's it. I'm not joking. This one sucks. I'm not even gonna talk about it. This one is the first one not written by Karpyshyn, and it shows. It has so many inconsistencies with the plot of the franchise that it's not even worth talking about. It was so bad that BioWare released a statement saying they will rewrite it. I believe they said this in like 2012, but they haven't updated it since. I wonder why. After the events of the Arrival DLC, as expected, the Council is trying to accuse Shepard of being a terrorist, so Dina tries to shift the blame somewhere else. In Omega, Vega is listening to the TV and the accusations against Shepard. He proceeds to rip the TV and gets attacked by the Batarians that were playing with him, accusing him of being a Shepard lover. Anderson comes to the rescue and tells him that he will oversee guarding a prisoner, a very important one, being Commander Shepard. Why is this so long for a DLC, my god? As the name suggests, this is an invasion. A what? Well, Omega of course, by Cerberus, Petrovsky, and the like. This one is extremely long and it's not that interesting. Basically, Cerberus was experimenting on adjutants, as we see in the Omega DLC, and they got free. As multiple things with Cerberus, it didn't go right. So yeah, Arya starts working with Petrovsky to get rid of the adjutants, but gets betrayed and captured, and Cerberus takes control of the station. At one point, Arya just escapes amidst the battle for Omega and promises to go back and retake it, as we do in Mass Effect 3. This one is James' only issue. I wish we had more, but we don't sadly. Bioware just kinda forgot he existed, which is sad because I'm one of the few people that actually love him. If you listen in Mass Effect 3 to some of the dialogue in the Citadel, James is trying to contact his father and his uncle. Most of the issue is spent in a flashback telling us the story with his father, who became a Red Sun addict after the death of his wife, and how James' relationship with his uncle is much better, to the point where he just changes his surname to be his uncle's instead of his father's. And really, that's about it. It's not that interesting because it's one issue, and Mass Effect 3 sadly was cut short with James' content. Finally, the last non-game part of the franchise. It's Liara's Homeworld issue, and it basically explains how, even with all the Shadow Broker information, she struggles to find enough info to stop the Reapers. Liara goes to a Hanar shrine where she gains access to a Prothean site, but, to the chagrin of our protagonist, the elusive man is there, as he was listening to the conversations that Liara had before going there. After a battle and whatnot, Liara kills the Phantom that tried to kill her and accuses the elusive man of sending it. Obviously, he denies it and tries to get Liara to help him, which normally she would agree, but when asked to share information, he remains quiet, so the deal doesn't even begin. She gets decryption keys to 3 sites. The second one was deleted, the first one is unknown, but the third one she knows, so she contacts Hackett and requests access to the Prothean Dixat in Mars. I'm gonna be honest, if they had included this as a dialogue in Mass Effect 3, it would have solved a lot of problems with the Mass Effect 3 start. We'll get to that, because it somewhat explains some very, I'm not gonna say obvious plot holes, but some things that irk you when playing Mass Effect 3. So, here we are, the last game of the Mass Effect trilogy, the conclusion to what began in Mass Effect 1, the Reaper invasion, the greatest threat the galaxy has ever faced. The game begins with Admiral Hackett and Anderson talking about something that has crossed their defenses, something huge in scale, which they can only assume is the Reapers. It then cuts to Shepard, watching out the window to a kid, and this random kid is one of the most important factors in Shepard's mind for some reason, but we'll talk about him because there's a lot to say. He then gets told by James Vega that the higher-ups need him, and that it's urgent. We reunite with Anderson and Ashley, and get told that the Reapers are coming. After one of Shepard's classic speeches, Earth is suddenly bombarded. We need to get to the Normandy, so as we get used to the new and improved movement and gameplay, using the Engineer class, which by the way is completely busted in this game, it genuinely feels like a mistake, we get to the Normandy. But as we leave, Anderson decides to stay on Earth, protecting his home.
I'm not going. You saw those men back there. There's a million more like them and they need a leader.
James, as the good soldier he is, wishes to stay, but we tell him to suck it up, that we know it sucks, but we must leave because we will do more out there than in here. We get told by Hackett to go to the archives in Mars, as Liara has been investigating them and might have found a solution to the Reapers. Once in Mars, it's very clear that the facility has been overrun by Cerberus, but something is amiss. There are only a few strong, yet they managed to get this highly classified facility. They had help from the inside, that's very obvious. As we get inside, we hear someone crawling through the docks. Liara is being pursued by Cerberus stormtroopers because they miss literally every shot, and she kills them. We proceed to talk with her and get the first, let's say, infuriating dialogue in Mass Effect 3, which would be solved with what I said in Homeworlds 4. Turns out that the Protheans tried to create a weapon, but they failed as they ran out of time, so we need to get to the archives. Throughout this mission, we will have talks with Ashley, who in my case was my lover in Mass Effect 1, and this is basically BioWare making us remember that she is the most developed character in the games. And we also find out that Dr. Evakore, who arrived here last week, was the one that betrayed them from within. It turns out that Cerberus has modified their people with Reaper technology, so after a bit of a Looney Tunes moment tricking the enemy, we get to the archives and have a friendly chat with the elusive man. We try to convince him to help, to no avail, and the info starts getting deleted. It is then that Ashley finds out who is deleting it and we pursue her. At the end of the chase, James rams the vehicle where they try to escape, and like Terminator, the body of Evakore comes out of the flames and attacks Ashley, almost killing her. As we defeat her, we rush to the Citadel because Ashley needs intensive care. Once on the Citadel, we send her to Huerta Memorial Hospital, and it is here that we meet with the Council. Now Dina is the human counselor because the Blood needed him to be with the one, and we are told that they won't help, again. And as we talk with Udina, the Turian counselor tells us that we are a Spectre again, and that we should appeal to the leaders of each race, as we get told to create a summit with each of them. Our first objective is to go to Menai, one of Palaven's moons, and pick up the Turian Primarch. It is here when we can meet some of the new non-playable characters, and the new crew of the Normandy. First up, you can recruit Diana Allers. She is a reporter and basically will help you with the war effort. She is also a romance option, but the word romance is a bit of a stretch. After going back to the Normandy, we get the first of 3 dreams. Now you're seeing a modified version of these dreams because I have a mod installed called Dreams Remade. So just know that the normal dreams are very underwhelming and for some reason feature this kid. A lot of people say it's the manifestation of Shepard's guild. I just don't buy it. Anyway, after we wake up, we meet Samantha Traynor, our newest assistant and one of the best characters in the trilogy. She is extremely useful throughout the game, as we will see. We can also meet Engineer Adams, our engineer from Mass Effect 1 that I never mentioned because I forgot, and we meet our shuttle pilot, Steve Cortez, who is also a romance option from Mel Shepard, although his romance just feels wrong, you'll see why. And finally, we can act as a shrink for Vega, as he mentions the events of Paragon Lost and how ultimately his decision was just useless. Before doing all of that, we get our first DLC. We have to go back to where it all began, in Eden Prime, as scientists have uncovered more Prothean ruins, but Cerberus is there, surprise surprise. It turns out that it's not Prothean info, but a Prothean, a living one. So after a bunch of fighting and flashbacks from his past, where we see the destruction of the race, we open the stasis pod and he wakes up. After a very interesting conversation in the Normandy, where Ike Amadi has some impressive line delivery, we meet our newest companion, Javik.
Stand in the ashes of 1 trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. This silence is your answer. The lizard people evolved.
I believe they're amphibian.
They used to eat flies.
Once in Palaven, the chaos is evident, and we get told the obvious. The Turian leader is dead, but because they are Turians, their line of succession is extremely simple. But they need to reach Palaven to get the next in line. After repairing a tower and coming back to the general, Garros is here, helping them with the Reapers as he is an expert, and tells us that Adrian Victus is the next in line. Meanwhile, we get a message from Bird Joker saying that the Normandy is acting up, so Liara goes back to check. We go on foot to where he is, and after a hard decision from his part to get off his planet to make nice in some boardroom, but he doesn't just help us, he tells us that we need the Krogan to help with Palaven, otherwise he cannot send his support. Once back on the Normandy, it turns out that Edie has hacked Evacore's body, and is now hers, so she becomes a companion. We visit the Citadel again, where we can do a bunch of side missions, we'll talk about those later, and we can visit Ashley. On the way there we can meet Thane, who is in the final stages of Kepler syndrome, and he is in peace with what he has done, so we say goodbye to one another. It is in this second visit that we get the option to talk with Arya, where we can get her forces for the fight, but we can also start the Omega DLC. Basically, Arya has the idea to surprise attack Omega, as she has captured a Cerberus cruiser. So, after meeting with her and basically being told that we have to go alone, we go and attack Omega. Now Oleg Petrovsky, the man in charge of Omega, is not stupid, so when he realizes that something is wrong, we are forced to take shuttles and crash into the station. After fighting through Omega and deactivating its auto defenses, we meet with this lady.
Spirit, look who's back. Arya Talok.
Nyreen.
This is Nyreen Kandros, basically an ex-lover of Arya. As we go to Arya's base, Nyreen disappears, and we start getting reports on what Cerberus is doing against the Talons. The Talons are basically an organization that was against Arya, and Cerberus wants their leader, Darius. As we go through Omega and do more and more fighting, we reunite with Nyreen, who is revealed to be the leader of the Talons, as the previous one died. We need to go to the core of the station, but to do that we need to go through a dark area, where it is revealed that adjutants live. After trying to get the elevator up and running, we fight one and proceed to go to the core, where Oleg ambushes us and traps us inside.
I commend you. Your plan of attack was impeccable.
So Arya gets pissed and attempts to open the force field. After a bunch of fighting, Arya manages to open the force field enough for us to escape, and with a quick time event only for engineers for some reason, we manage to save people's life by diverting the energy instead of just cutting it. We then form another plan. Arya and us must go to the central column because Cerberus has bombs there, while Nyreen will go to Afterlife. After disarming the bombs, we go to where Nyreen is, who is getting flooded by adjutants, so she basically sacrifices herself to kill them. This enrages Arya, who rushes after Petrovsky and gets captured by him, so after a very easy fight, he surrenders to us. Arya then is about to kill him, but our influence is to hide. If you choose the more Paragon options, she will spare him, but if you choose the more Renegade, she kills him. We can kill him even if Arya doesn't, by the way. Anyway, if you're a female Shepherd and Arya liked you, meaning you were a bit more Renegade, she kisses you, but only if you're female. The reason she is kissing me here is because a mod I have makes it so that she does if you're Paragon, as I don't want to be super Renegade in this DLC. After all of that, we get, let's call it, our first big side quest. In this case, Traynor has managed to discover the SOS signal sent by Grison Academy and answered by Turians was fake, as nobody was sent to help. So she asked Edie to see who is sending that signal, and it's Cerberus. You see guys, she has only done one thing and she's already 10 times more useful than Kelly. Anyway, we go there where Cerberus is trying to kidnap the students for purposes. I think we can all imagine for what. So we fight through the Cerberus troops and we reunite with Kaylee Sanders, the one from the novels, who is a professor there. And later we reunite with Jack, who is also a professor, as the Alliance offered her that position after helping us with the Collectors. We get a bit of story from Jack and then more fighting. We can reunite with David, the brother of Gavin Archer from the Overlord DLC, who says the sweetest phrase in the franchise, and then we leave.
I've been counting.
Anything in particular?
The number of days you lengthened my life.
At the end of missions like this, there's two endings. If you manage to make the person loyal in Mass Effect 2, nothing would happen, and the mission will end well, but if they weren't loyal, they will die in their respective mission. We then get another decision, and it's where to send these biotic students, whether it's the frontline or a support role. This matters for the, let's say, ending sequence of the game, and it just changes one image, and it's whether or not Jack will be sad at the end, as if they are sent to the front line, they will die. Anyway, we can finally begin the next main mission. The summit is being held in Sorkesh, the Salarian home planet. The Salarian Dalatras is pissed to say the least, so the Asari, being Asari, just decide that they won't be joining the summit. Rex is in the meeting, and he tells us the obvious. You want Krogan help? Then cure the genophage. The Dalatras is a complete bitch and basically kidnaps some females that survived the experiments made by Malon into Chanka 6 months prior, which Rex has information on due to inside sources. We go to Sorkesh, and in there we can meet people like Kirahi if he survived the missions in Mass Effect 1. But suddenly the base gets attacked by Cerberus. How the fuck are they here? Who knows? It's never explained, but it's one of those things where I don't really have a problem with it, as the previous two games established pretty well that every race has its raiders. Anyway, in the lab we meet Morgan, who sounds a bit different.
Specimens are accounted for, sir. Shepard, excellent timing. Good to have you here.
Yeah, turns out that the voice actor changed due to differences, but anyway, he was Rex's inside source.
helped female Krogan, fed information to Clan Erdnot, encouraged political pressure to free females.
Sadly, most of the females died, but one of them survived, so we have to get her out of there safely. After a bunch of fighting and some banter from Garrus and Liara,
there goes the next shadow broker. Could have sworn he was muttering to Sony the whole time.
Not funny.
crossing some checkpoints, we release the female Krogan and leave the planet. Our objective then being to go to Tuchanka and cure the genophage.
I can handle myself, Rex.
Women.
Just before going to Tuchanka, we receive a call from the Dalatras telling us that the shroud was sabotaged ages ago, so if we let things go normally, the genophage will not be cured. In Tuchanka we have 3 objectives, one of which involves a cannon that Cerberus is using, which we solve quickly, and a mission concerning the son of Adrian Victus. Turns out that a ship crash landed on Tuchanka, and that the son of the Primarch basically fucked up and got a bunch of his men killed. His objective? To deactivate a bomb that the Turians had planted centuries ago in case the Krogan rebelled again, so he sacrifices himself to disarm it. The other objective is that we get told by Rex that he has sent a team to investigate Ragnar presence, and here we find Grant, who is leading a team. After confirming sent presence and fighting through a bunch of webbing, we head to the biggest Ragnar, which will change depending on your decisions made in Mass Effect 1. In my case, because I saved the Queen, she is willing to help us as she is immune to the Reaper indoctrination. So we free her, but then get overwhelmed by enemy forces. Grant then decides to sacrifice himself to help us get out of there. If you manage to make him loyal in Mass Effect 2, he will survive with a bunch of injuries, otherwise he will collapse and die. Once in Tuchanka, there's a Reaper in front of the Shroud. The Shroud was basically what the Salarians used to basically repair the atmosphere of the planet, and the Turians used it to spread the genophage. So, our objective is together with the Turians find a way to take it down. After reuniting all the clans, we start our journey to the Reaper. On the way we try and tell our friends about the sabotage, but our path is suddenly cut short. So the Turians need to attack the Reaper, because it already saw them, so they basically get attacked, one of them crashes into one of our trucks, which forces Rex and the others to go away while we go underground. In this underground, Eve, the female Krogan, tells us that the mother of all Threshermons, Kalros, lives around here, so Rex gets an idea. After fighting and seeing the last bit of green left on Tuchanka, Rex tells us to use the 2 hammers just below the Reaper to call Kalros and kill the Reaper. We also tell Mordin and Rex that the Dalatras tried to make a deal with us, but it didn't work and Mordin is now informed of this. Meanwhile, Mordin and Eve go to the Salarian lab, as there should still be a strain of the genophage in there. We use the 2 hammers and then Kalros appears. After taking down the Reaper, we go to the Shroud, and in there, there's multiple things that can happen. If you decided to save Maelon's cure in Mass Effect 2, Eve will not die trying to make the cure, but if you didn't, she will. While talking with Mordin, we can stop him, but it's such a brutal scene and so sad that I just don't recommend anyone to do the Renegade option. Anyway, Mordin ascends to the Shroud, and if you heard him sing in Mass Effect 2, we get the saddest scene in the trilogy, and Mordin dies.
Temperature now within acceptable range. Dispersal commencing.
The Krogan are now ready to help with the war effort, and we go back to the Normandy, having done the biggest galactic feat until that point. We get another dream sequence, again made and modded, so Mordin doesn't even appear in that sequence, and then get a call from the Salarian Counselor. Turns out that Odina is dirty, and he wants us back to deal with him. As we go back to the Citadel, nobody answers, so Joker uses the emergency channels, where Thane tells us that Cerberus is attacking the station, and we need to help Sisek take control of it back. We go down to a fight between Cerberus and Sisek and find Bailey, a bit injured, and we get inside. We basically fight a bunch of enemies and get to the Executor's office. We get told that Ashley is together with the council, except for the Salarian one, whom we find just outside the Executor's office. Suddenly Kai Leng appears, and we get one of the most infuriating cutscenes of the game. Thane gets stabbed by Kai Leng, who almost gets defeated and runs away. We manage to save the Salarian Councilor, who tells us that Udina is working for Cerberus and is planning to hand over the Councilors to them. We rush after them, but get stopped by Kai Leng, again, and we're forced to go on foot. We get on an elevator and get to the council just before Kai Leng does with the help of Bailey. There, Ashley is still doubtful of us, but manages to overcome those doubts, and we manage to stop Udina, by shooting him, obviously. Anyway, Kai Leng has a conversation with the elusive man, and then we leave. We go to the hospital to visit Thane, and we get an incredibly sad scene.
Kalahira, this one's heart is pure, but beset by wickedness and contention.
Guide this one to where the traveler never tires, the lover never leaves, the hungry never starve. Guide this one, Kalahira, and he will be a companion to you as he was to me. Yet? There's something I don't understand. His last moments were those of a hero. Why pray for salvation?
The prayer was not for him, Commander. He has already asked forgiveness for the lives he has taken. His wish was for you.
At this point, two missions are revealed to us, one for Playnor, who tells us that a group of Cerberus scientists have betrayed them, and Cerberus is obviously trying to kill them. We go, and Jacob is suddenly there. Again, as with Jack, if he wasn't loyal in Mass Effect 2, he will die in this mission, so be careful with that. Anyway, in here we will find dozens of families and scientists, and we need to rescue them. One of them is Dr. Gavin Archer himself. Anyway, after activating the turrets on the top of the facility, one by one the shuttles start leaving, and then we are the last ones. Jacob does not join the fight directly, but he does become assets for us. Jacob in this mission says that he is together with this doctor, and this is basically what I meant in Mass Effect 2. This event will happen no matter what, so even if you romance Jacob, he will cheat on you, which is why he is the most disliked companion of the franchise, even though I still like him. The other mission is told to us by Liara, who gets info that the Jackson facility is being attacked by the Reapers. We go there and we see basically what the Reapers are doing to the Asari, transforming them into banshees. We also find Samara there, as two of her daughters live there. We go together to find them, and after finding the first one, we are told that the Reapers have Rila. Valer then proceeds to run to rescue her. We go to the center of the place, where bombs are planted, which is now our main objective as there are no Adakjakshi left. Rila has already been indoctrinated, so on a brave act, she tells us to go away while she detonates the bomb.
Not your slaves.
Samara then proceeds to say that the only way to stop Valer from dying is to kill herself, which we obviously stop. Again, her loyalty in Mass Effect 2 matters here. She also doesn't become a companion, but assists instead, sadly. Finally, we have the last two companion missions in this game. We receive a message from a Spectre called John Dumbao, who is tracking a Hanar that was part of an Alliance operation on a Batarian world because they were investigating something called the Leviathan of This, which turned into a massacre, which the Alliance hid. This information came from the grey box we recovered with Kasumi in her loyalty mission. So, we proceed to scan different places for information on the Hanar. What you're seeing in the background is not the standard mission, but a mod that basically remakes it in its entirety. The normal mission is much more boring, though this one, because we're underwater in the mod, is extremely slow. Anyway, after finding the name of the Hanar, we go to arrest him, but he has just uploaded a virus for the Reapers, so we kill him while Kasumi stops the virus. She stops it, but he has a failsafe, which explodes, and it presumably kills her. As with the previous people, she will die right here unless she was loyal, and then we can convince her to join the Crucible project, because she is scared of being in action. For the second mission, we get a message from the Turian Primarch telling us that the Volus ambassador was working with Cerberus, so after listening to some audio logs, it turns out that Zaid and a group of mercenaries capture him. Through some clever dialogue with the Volus, Zaid manages to understand that we were helping him, so he kills the mercenaries, and we open the door to the room they were in. Again, if Zaid was not loyal, he will die the moment you open the door, but because he was loyal, he survives and we rescue the Volus, who tells us of the Turian colony that Cerberus is going to attack and gives us the Volus fleet. Also, Zaid joins our forces, but not as a playable character. Yeah, basically, except for Garrus and another future character, nobody for Mass Effect 2 joins us. After all of this is said and done, we get told to go to the Perseus Vale, where the Quarian fleet wants to negotiate and help with the war. We get there and talk with the 5 admirals, the 5th one being Tali. Turns out that 2 weeks before this, the Quarians decided to attack the Geth and take back their planet, but then a Reaper signal started being sent to all Geth, making them much stronger. Our first objective is to go to the Geth Dreadnought, where the signal is being transmitted from.
Hey, take your time, Commander. We're fine until they, look out a window.
Geth don't use windows, remember? Structural weakness.
Like the Geth are just sitting there saying, those organics would never try the no windows thing twice.
Turns out that the thing they are using to transmit the signal is none other than Legion, so we rescue him and turn it off. We reunite with the admirals and get told that Legion has to find the base, where we have 2 objectives: deactivating some Geth and rescuing Admiral Corris, whose ship crash landed on the planet. In the first mission, we go into the Geth consensus and we see some of the events that happened while the Geth was being created and during the Morning War. It's a really cool scene. After all of this is done, some Geth Prime jumpscare us and decide to join us in the Crucible project. Now to rescue Admiral Corris, we have to deactivate multiple cannons, so when that's done, we try and rescue him, but he tells us to leave him and rescue his crew instead, as they are non-combatants. We then have a really big decision, whether to save him or his crew. As Shepard says in the game, we need the Admiral to have control over his forces, otherwise things won't go well, so after a bunch of thinking, he accepts our help, but his crew died.
I pray they found comfort in the homeworld skies.
Now finally, after those 2 missions, Legion found the main base, so we go there and turns out that it's not just that the Geth were using Reaper tech, they had a live Reaper in the base.
Reaper!
We have located transportation.
Copy that. Everybody, get to the ship. Move!
So after running away, we decide to sink the entire Quarian fleet to a weapon and proceed to try and kill the Reaper. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think that this sequence is sick, especially once we kill it. He tells us the same generic things as always, but the screen shakes when he speaks, which I thought was cool. And here comes the biggest decision. Legion says that the Geth don't deserve to die, so he tells us that he is going to upload the Reaper code to the Geth, basically making them come back in full power but with independent identities. But Tali obviously doesn't want that. Now here is where a bunch of decisions matter in Mass Effect 2. If you manage to get Tali's loyalty, Legion's loyalty, rescued Admiral Corris, and rewrote the heretics, you can solve this situation peacefully, by making the Quarians stand down while the Geth wake up. If you didn't do one of those things, you can still get it if you have an extremely high reputation, but those things listed previously do help a lot. Anyway, uploading the Reaper code turns out require more than was expected, so Legion says this and he sacrifices himself.
Error. Copying code is insufficient. Direct personality dissemination required. Shepard Commander, I must go to them. I'm sorry. It's the only way.
Legion, the answer to your question was yes.
I know, Tali. But thank you. Kila Sanai.
Finally, the war that lasted 3 centuries is finally over, and the Quarrens and the Geth start working together on Rannoch, and the Quarrens offer the full support for the war. And the game ends. Yeah, we have no conclusion to the Reaper War, gotta wait for Mass Effect 4 for that. Thanks for watching everybody, see you next time. Yeah, you know where this is going. From this point onward, the rating of the game plummets like Ubisoft stock, and in some parts it does get better but not by much. We get an urgent message from the Asari Councilor telling us that there are Prothean ruins in Thessia, but now that the Reapers are attacking it, he should go there and get that information as it might help with the Crucible. Don't worry, we will talk about the situation later. Before all of that, we have the Leviathan DLC. We go to Dr. Bryson's apartment. In here, he is investigating the Leviathan of this, as it has been shown to have the capabilities of destroying Reapers. As he is explaining everything to us, his assistant appears out of nowhere and kills him, but he doesn't remember doing it. We get more cryptic messages from a certain voice, and then he collapses, and he is in a permanent coma. We need to find Dr. Garneau, who might have more information about this, so after a minigame trying to reduce the number of systems he might be in, we go to a dig site in an asteroid. There, Reaper forces are attacking, so once dealt with, we go inside. But something is amiss. Everyone there is acting weird, indoctrinated even. After more minigames, we find Garneau, or at least someone that claims to be him, but then the voice from before tells us to go away, and he starts running. We follow him, and after more fighting, get inside and see one of the artifacts that was also inside Bryson's office, and he proceeds to blow it up. Turns out that it wasn't Garneau, the real one has been dead for days, and the scientists in that place turn back to normal. Turns out that they have been mind controlled for the past 10 years, and they do not remember anything since then. We then go back to his apartment, and in there we must find information now to locate Anne Bryson, as she has sent a message to her father that Reaper forces are attacking her dig site. We go there and rescue her, and we get told that the Leviathan is actually millions of years old. We get out of there and tell Anne that his father died. We go back to the apartment, and Anne gets the idea to use their mind-controlling powers to track the location of Leviathan. But if you do this for very long, she will die. With the help of James, who just happens to be there, we find out where Leviathan is, and we go there.
Listen to me. I found you, and the Reapers are right behind me.
You have brought them.
You are a threat.
So are you. I've seen what you can do. The war needs you.
There is no war. There is only the harvest.
The planet they are in is all water, and we can see hundreds of ships, some of them hundreds of years old, having crashed in the planet, which explains why no one has found them. Anyway, we get attacked by an electromagnetic pulse, and we crash on one of the ships. As we are doing repairs, the Reapers attack, so we hold them back until Cortez gets the shuttle back to action, but then it gets shot down again. He then gets the idea to use one of these mechs to go underwater, so we do that, but lose communication. Once on the bottom, we find Leviathan. Turns out that they were the original race. They controlled the galaxy millions of years ago, and their servant races started creating machines to deal with mundane problems, but they turned against them, so they created an intelligence to deal with the problem. But at one point, the intelligence betrayed them and harvested their race, making the first Reaper, Harbinger. We then convinced them, as they can read our memories, to help us with the war effort, as the Reapers already found their location. So they do, instead of trapping us with them forever, and the DLC ends. Finally, we have Thessia. I'm not gonna run here, I'm gonna do it later, but Liara basically becomes a different character once we get to Thessia. So with the help of the few Asari there, we go to the temple, no without sacrifice, and we get the worst line in the trilogy.
Next time we go to war, maybe the Alliance can spring for air support.
I'm gonna talk about it later, don't worry about it. We get to the temple and turns out that there's a Prothean beacon here, which coincidentally has information on the catalyst. Not that that matters because, surprise surprise, Kailen is here, and with his massive plot armor, even more than Shepard, manages to defeat us and take away the Prothean BI. Now defeated, we are depressed for some reason, again, I'm gonna talk about this entire mission later, and we basically get pissed, so Traynor, again being the best thing to come out of this game, manages to follow Kailen's shuttle to Horizon, where Sanctuary is. Once there, Cerberus is fighting the Reapers, Why are the Reapers here? Good question. As we get deeper inside, we get told through computers that this is a server's facility, and that they have been studying indoctrination, and to do that they use the refugees that went there and turned them into husks and other Reaper creatures, but again it got out of hand. My god, this entire story can be summarized as servers try something and it gets out of hand. Anyway, Henry Lawson, Miranda's father, is in charge of the station, and Oriana is in there as we hear at the start of the mission, so Miranda is surely close. Throughout the game, you get communications from Miranda telling you to meet, as she has deserted servers and is trying to find her sister. You can help her, which you should, and once you get to the top of the tower, Kylen is no longer there, but Henry Lawson is holding Oriana hostage. We make a fake bargain with him, and Miranda then kills him.
But I want out alive. Deal?
No deal.
Rather ruthlessly, mind you, as she sends him toward the Reaper forces. Anyway, Kylen is not there and he took all the info. But do not fret, as Miranda planted a tracker on him, so we now have the location of the main server's base. Before all of that, and now that everybody has participated in the story, we can begin the Citadel DLC. This is the best thing to come out of the trilogy, and it's not something that I can explain in this short part. You know when someone tells you that they just can't explain something to you, that you have to experience it? Well, that's basically what this DLC is. It would take me months to dissect this DLC, and pretty much every phrase said by every single character can be dissected into a study. I am going to tell you the basic story though. We get this cool looking apartment gifted to us by Anderson, as he's a bit busy, you could say. Once there, we receive a message from Joker telling us to reunite at the sushi place. In there we meet staff analyst Maya Brooks. Suspicious. Anyway, she tells us that someone hacked into our accounts, and then suddenly the place gets attacked. We fall through the fishes and get separated. We reunite with our lover, in my case Tali, and get someplace safe. While waiting for a C6 shuttle, which turned out to be full of those mercenaries, Rex appears and kills all of them. We go back to our apartment and we start finding out where the weapons they used came from. Turns out they came from a casino owner, so we infiltrated, but he is dead. And we talk with the guy stealing our information. We track him to the archives of the Citadel, where we get divided into 3 teams, and once there, it turns out that the guy that stole information was... us? Yeah, the clone I mentioned a couple of times before is the guy that stole our information, as he is trying to replace us. We get free from the people there and follow him deeper into the archives. As we get deeper and deeper, we fight more enemies, and then get trapped by him in a vault. And it is revealed that Brooks was a traitor?
Oh no! Anyway...
We get freed again and go to the Normandy, where Trino helps us get inside with a fucking toothbrush. And we fight the clone, who ends up killing himself. In Maya's case, there's 2 options. Either we go Paragon and make herself surrender, or she will get killed while trying to kill us. After all of this, we throw a party, and then we get the best line delivery from Mark Meer.
We've had a good ride.
This DLC again is not something I can explain, you have to play it yourself. The number of little details, the comedy, everything about it is masterfully written. It's basically a love letter to the fans, and I can't do it justice. Finally, the second to last mission of the game, assaulting the elusive man's base. As we get told by Hackett, this will be the last mission you do in the game, as after that, you're locked out of going anywhere and doing anything. Once we decide what to do, we get our final see with our romance partner, and we get another bad dream. For the 3rd time, this is a mod. The dreams are normally bad. Anyway, we get to the server's base and starts the assault, while Edie tells us that she wants to go with us. In there we get lordoms of everything that went down in Mass Effect 3, everything that happened while Shepard was being revived, and how Tim modified himself with Reaper tech. And then we get to his main place, with the chair. Which, wait a second, at the start of Mass Effect 2 Miranda was there. Why didn't she just tell us where the base was? Anyway, we see that the VI is still there, and it tells us that the catalyst is in fact the Citadel, as the previous countless cycles basically arrived at the conclusion that using the Reaper tech would be the best idea against them. Anyway, we have a very boring fight with Kylen, but then we get an actual sick moment.
That was for Thane, you son of a bitch.
It never fails to feel good. We then get told that the Citadel has been moved to Earth, So we go there. Once in Earth space, we get what is in my opinion the greatest moment in gaming history, with all the fleets converging. I'm just gonna let it play out because words cannot do this sequence justice.
Alliance fleet reporting. Turian fleet reporting. Asari fleets reporting.
Quarian fleets accounted for and ready. All Geth ships accounted for. The Geth are ready for your command.
Geth fleet reporting. All fleets reporting in, Commander. Ready to engage on your command.
This is it, everyone. Be ready on my signal. Fire! On my command, engage the Reaper forces.
Breaking off. Preparing for descent.
We go down to the planet, but we need to destroy a Reaper cannon, so we go there and suddenly Cortez gets attacked. Now this scene. Cortez throughout the game has been extremely depressed, as he lost his husband and has no reason to live anymore. So if you've taken on with him and comfort him enough, he will survive this crash, otherwise he will die. Anyway, we get rid of the Reaper cannon and get rescued by Major Coates and Anderson.
Anderson. I knew you would.
It's good to see you.
And you're a sight for sore eyes.
We go to the main base and everyone is there. We can talk with James, with Ashley, with Javik, with Rex, Edie, Garrus and Tali, and we get some really heartfelt conversations.
The insubordination, but this old friend has an order for you. Go out there and give them hell. You were born to do this.
Goodbye, Garrus. And if I'm up there in that bar and you're not, I'll be looking down. I'll always have your back.
And then we talk about the final push, through a no man's land, to try and get the Reaper standing in front of the beam to die. After the last speech of the franchise, we take our last two companions and go through the destroyed city. Once on the missiles, we need Edie's help to calibrate the targeting system. So we fire, but we miss, so we now need to hold position while the other two are being calibrated. Throughout this mission we get messages from the other groups basically dying against the Reapers, and how they are scared of fighting something that gigantic. We take care of the Reaper and then we have one final run to the beam. Our team gets hurt, so we send them back to the Normandy to get out of here, as we do not want them dying on us. Suddenly Harbinger appears and kills literally everyone, except for us. We manage to get into the beacon, and then the last fight for the people outside Earth happens. We're inside the Citadel now, and basically in a morgue, or a cemetery without the tombs, and Anderson is somewhere here with us. We advance and we both get to the same location, even though there's no physical way for him to have appeared in a different place and us not noticing. But anyway, suddenly the elusive man appears, fully Reaper-fied. Throughout the game, you can talk with him multiple times, and if you choose the extra option in each dialogue and then choose the Paragon option, you can make him kill himself, not before giving us a speech about how much he cares about humanity and making us shoot Anderson. We convince him that he is indoctrinated, and he kills himself. We then manage to open the arms of the Citadel, and Hackett and his team dock the Crucible to it. We get our final conversation with Anderson, Keith David doing an excellent job here, and we think everything ended.
You did good, son. You did good. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
Suddenly Hackett speaks to us and tells us that nothing has happened, that we need to do something to activate the Crucible. We then get teleported to Crucible control. Suddenly a ghost kid appears in front of us, it basically being the AI that the Leviathans created. It tells us a bunch of useless info. It all boils down to 4 options: red, green, blue, and nothing. Blue is the control option. Turns out that the elusive man was right, you can control them, but he himself couldn't, as he was already indoctrinated. Green option is synthesis. Basically organics and synthetics will no longer be 2 separate things. The red option is the destroy option. You will destroy all the Reapers and everything that has Reaper stuff. Important clarification there. And the 4 option is just not doing anything. Anyway, the only option here is the destroy one. I will talk about why in my opinion later. So we proceed to the red tube, we destroy it, get flashbacks of the people that died, and we get the final cutscene in the game, which I'm just gonna let it play out. You can skip to this timestamp if you don't wanna watch it.
All fleets, the Crucible is armed. Disengage and head to the rendezvous point. I repeat, disengage and get the hell out of here.
Jeff, we need to go.
Damn it.
we get the credits, and then if you had enough forces, this happens. And then the game ends.
Did that all really happen?
Wait, what the fuck? Okay, let's get the good over with, because the bad is much more interesting. Before that, you might be asking why I was so quick with Mass Effect 3, and that's because the foundation of Mass Effect 3 is on the little details. The war effort fills the game with so many minute details that it is impossible to comment all of them. So I went much quicker, because otherwise this portion will be like 2 hours long, as there is so much to unpack from everything that's going on. It's by far the best in the series. It's pretty much perfected, and I don't have much to say. It's all more fluid than before, everything feels quicker, harder, it's just really good. Jack Wall did not return for Mass Effect 3, sadly, but even without him, we get the second best theme in the franchise called Living Earth, which we can hear at the start of the game and at the end. It's really good, even though it's not at the same level that the music in Mass Effect 2 was. Until Rannoch, the story is superbly written, and the aspects of a galactic war are represented extremely well. It's not all just one galaxy against one force. Each race is fighting their own war, and it being a war of such scale doesn't go without its stupid decisions. We will get to that. I'm probably the biggest defender of this in the community. I just find it extremely well made. Well, let's get this over with, shall we? There are a bunch of things I could probably rant about, but I'm gonna focus on the biggest one I can think of. You can probably think of other stuff that I'm not gonna touch on right now, so I'm sorry if I forgot about something. Now this, at the end of the day, is a game, and probably the most important thing about a game is its gameplay and its quality of life. So let's start with... The journal in this game is the worst journal I have ever seen in video game history. 90% of the smaller side quests are just fetch quests, and pretty much all of them have no information on what you have to do or where you have to do it. You see this crane. You see how some missions have triple C's in them. That means that the missions is not available to be started yet. Some of them have a D, meaning it's ready to be delivered. And others have an R, meaning you have to recover something. If the R has an asterisk beside it, it means that it's something that you find inside another mission. All of that is a mod, called Better Journal, otherwise you literally have no idea where to find things. There's a mission called Batarian Codes, which is in the Citadel, and if it wasn't because this was my 9th playthrough of the games, I would have no idea where things are, because we don't get told, so we have to visit every single place in the Citadel, open the map, and then see if a console is in that place. And that's not the worst part. Some missions in this game are time gated, meaning if you don't finish them before certain parts of the story, you fail them. Now normally, journals would just, I don't know, turn off the mission, maybe put it in red saying that you failed. This game? Nothing. If you fail to finish a mission, it will remain active for the remainder of the game, clogging your journal. I wish I was fucking joking. This happened to me in my first playthrough with the side mission in Eden Prime. I had to complete the entire game with that mission sitting there active because I didn't finish it. This thing, this wannabe ninja that the story just forces in Mass Effect 3 is the most nothing character in the history of fiction. He's that one edgy kid in high school that said one-liners that he thought sounded cool. He even writes emails like a fucking high schooler, like, look at this shit. Not only that, but he is also fucking everywhere, and it gets annoying fast. Now a lot of people have a problem with his fight with Thane, and I understand it perfectly fine. But Thane himself tells him that he should be ashamed as a terminally ill Drell almost killed him. But the worst part is that we don't even shoot the guy once. Not once in the sequence where Thane gets stabbed, and it's just stupidly annoying. I don't have a problem with Thane dying to this motherfucker. What I have a problem with is how the scene itself played out. And you guys wanna know something else? His voice acting is atrocious. I could have done a better job sitting in my room. And you guys wanna know who voices him? Troy Baker. Yes, this game managed to somehow make Troy Baker sound bad. How do you manage to do that? Let's start with the third Citadel visit. Councilor Tevos tells us that there is a temple that holds protean information in Thessia. Bitch, you couldn't have told us before? This isn't by writing, by the way, we will get to that, but it's so in character for a fucking Asari to save information that could save the entire galaxy until their planet gets attacked. So I mean, technically, this is good writing. The problem is not what's told, it's what isn't told. Now, a lot of people say that while she may be one of the Asari with the most power, maybe she didn't know. Maybe the government hid this from her. I'm gonna call bullshit on this. I don't believe for a second that this woman didn't know about that temple and the information stored there. Especially because the information there was what made the Asari as powerful as they are today. Now, the invasion of Thessia. Liara has one of the stupidest phrases in gaming history.
Next time we go to war, maybe the Alliance can spring for air support.
What the fuck is your problem? You are Asari. You are so strong and magnificent. Help yourselves. Your people declined participating in the summit just because the Dalatras was feeling like a bitch. Maybe next time the Alliance... Well, where the fuck were the Asari troops when Air was attacked? Where were they when Palaven was being attacked? Where were they when they attacked Tuchanka? Are you kidding me? Some people say this is sarcasm, but the moment she says it and the tone doesn't make it sound like sarcasm. Your people decided to hide information, and it cost the galaxy billions of lives, and Thessia was lost. So no, the Alliance is not gonna help. It's not our problem. Also, the aftermath of this, and I'm not even gonna touch on the plot armor of Kailain, and the fact that for some reason we cannot destroy the chopper behind him, even though we destroyed at least 3 in Mass Effect 2. Why is Shepard depressed? Whether we got the information or not, the planet was gonna get lost anyway. Yes, you didn't get the information, but Shepard himself says Thessia is lost, and that's on me.
To hell with predictions. Thessia is lost, and that's on me.
What the fuck do you mean that's on you? The information and the fact that we had it or not was not gonna change the outcome of the fucking planet. What the fuck? Also, something I forgot to mention. At the start of the game, Liara tells us that we just found out about the Prothean information because we mix elimination and desperation. And as I said with Homeworld Sword, I call bullshit because there is no way in 30 years nobody found anything about it. Homeworld Sword at least serves as an excuse to this plot hole because the data was encrypted and she needed the decryption key, which explains why nobody found it or studied it before. Now, when most people talk about the ending, I think they don't mean the ending itself, but the last mission, Take Back Earth. In vanilla, that mission is extremely lackluster, and none, I repeat, none of the decisions you make in the story change how this mission plays out. The way it should have worked is that the more forces you gather, the easier the mission becomes and the more cinematics you get. But instead, we got a boring final mission for the most important moment in the franchise. And now for the endings themselves. I'm gonna be honest, I like the destruction ending. I like that it's not just black and white, and that even if the ending has its consequences, with Edie and the Geth dying. But I do have a problem with the other two, as in my opinion they make zero sense and do not fit the theme of the games at all. The control ending makes Shepard become a quasi-god, meaning Tali can fuck herself, I guess, while the synthesis ending is just the most immoral thing I've ever seen. Not only is it that, but if you merge organics and synthetics, who's to say that in the future we won't create another race? Will those be the new synthetics? And if not, are we just creating more living beings? Does this lead to the capability of just creating living creatures? Can we just multiply? You know, this is kinda funny. So as we know, the original ending was hated by pretty much everyone, so people obviously came up with a shit ton of theories. Some more crazy than others. Now theories don't really only go towards the ending, as there are a bunch of other theories here and there that I'm not even gonna bother explaining because it's all bullshit to me. So, let me put the disclaimer up here. This is my personal opinion. If you disagree with it, I don't care. Good for you. Move on. There is one theory out there that, until a certain point, makes perfect sense to me, and I actually agree with, and that's the indoctrination theory. Now, let me repeat, until a certain point. So I'm gonna read an entire Reddit comment that I saw that pretty much summarizes everything, and then I will give my thoughts. To start, the transition from charging the beam to being inside the Citadel is weird in, how did Admiral Anderson get there ahead of you? You were the tip of the spear. Your assault got wiped out. Chronologically, how can he get there before you? It's possible in the period between when you get knocked out and get inside the beam that Anderson made it in before you. But it's unusual. Just interesting to note. We'll come back to. The exchange with the elusive man in the Citadel. This guy is insanely careful. His whole thing is plotting, working through intermediaries, never getting his own hand dirty when someone else can do it for him. That's why his name is Elusive Man. It's a play on he is not who he seems and he is elusive. And we fight him at the end, completely and almost totally indoctrinated. And having been indoctrinated for who knows how long, back to when you're resurrected, even people who keep their distance and are known for their caution end up indoctrinated because indoctrination isn't accidental, it is calibrated to someone's usefulness. Saren talks about how they can't fully indoctrinate him because he needs some of the free agency of having his own mind to do his work, and you are very useful. Throughout the games, they pointed out that the Reaper's greatest tool was indoctrination, despite an almost endless number of wars to flee to escape genocide. The Reapers still rooted out every species before this cycle, except the Leviathans, because of indoctrination. I assume they are immune to it, so they could hide. The Prothean guy, who joins the crew, talks about how they use the indoctrination to root out refugees. We don't know how it works, like X amount of Reapers exposure will indoctrinate you, and maybe it takes longer to impact some people. We know there are ways to be immune to it, like the Asari who was controlled by the plant creature. I think a few others. But Shepard is near and even handles a lot of Reaper tech, and it's just never an issue for him, not even something he seems to consider. The other examples of the immune usually have at least a passing explanation, like the Asari had another creature controlling her, for example. But other than protagonist armor and being a very special boy, why isn't this an issue for him? Or at least, why don't we have an explanation why he's safe? Only one I can think of is Shepard has a lot of cybernetics in him after Mass Effect 2, and maybe he is too synthetic to be indoctrinated. Some of the logs talk about the symptoms of indoctrination, one of the big ones being hallucination, with sex too? The boy from your dreams. There's a number of ways to interpret the boy. One is just the psychological stress or responsibility for the fate of the galaxy. Guilt over all the people Shepard can save, and the boy being an acute example of that. But in your second dream, with the boy, there are black shadowy figures everywhere. Now, pretty easy to say, oh, I know what ghosts look like, they are shadowy and wispy to represent anonymity. It's people Shepard feels guilty over not saving, people he doesn't have a direct connection to, like that boy who he can make the focus for his grief and stress. Except the Ragnar Queen talk about the feeling of sorrow indoctrinating the Ragnar, and she described the songs then as filled with oily, shadowy figures. The boy in the chamber. Why does the mind of the Reaper manifest itself as him? Sure, there's the trope of the omnipotent, omniscient being represented itself as naive and young, but that's a trope. The thing you're talking to killed that boy. Why would it choose to represent itself as someone it murdered? Well, because Shepard is a human, and the Reapers know they can manipulate organics with sentimentality to, e.g., accept refugees, knowing that some could be ticking bombs that kill them. The boy also talks about how they, meaning the Reapers, are a cleansing fire, that they restore balance, that they do not want to war or to harm organics any more than a fire desires to harm a creature it burns, which, if you recall, links back to the imagery of the boy in your dreams, which ends first with him bursting into flames, which we first assume is because he died in an explosion, and in the second time with you both burning, because you will potentially have a role in cleansing the galaxy. The juxtaposition of your final choice. Throughout the games, you are given A-B choices, red on the left, blue on the right. At the end, you get 3 choices, and for some reason the blue decision is on the left, which is to kill yourself and control the Reapers, where usually the violent bad guy option is, and the option on the right, usually the peaceful nice guy option, is red, and to destroy the Reapers, which is what you've always said you need to do. Shepard's refrain throughout all the games as the Paragon has been his unbreakable win determination that the Reapers are coming, they cannot be reasoned with. Cerberus, the guy who literally resurrected me from death, are my enemy because they insanely believe they can control the Reapers. The previous scene was you convincing the Illusive Man that no, actually, not even you can control the Reapers. They control you. Kill yourself. And now that you're there, talking with pure concentrated Reaper consciousness, you decide to do what the clearly indoctrinated God thought was best, which conflict with everything you've said about the Reapers up to this point, or you're going to do what the genocidal AI tells you to do, and actually you've never heard of before, where it's wearing the skin of a boy it murdered? Before that moment, you feel indefatigable that nobody can trust the Reapers or anything around them. You know that it uses organic sentimentality against them and is capable of deceit. You know it can control organic minds to persuade them to do disastrous things. You have been told what symptoms of that mind control looks like, and that you may be showing symptoms of it. And now, with no hint that there was a possibility from the records of the organics that Yuri rigged the Crucible, just when you're about to kill this monstrous, lying, mind-controlling entity, you're going to do what it tells you and hold your body into a beam of energy. It sounds like you're being mind-controlled by this creature to kill yourself instead of it. The cherry on top for this is, when you go through the different endings, as they are doing the view that Shepard is gone but will never be gone, the last shot of their Destroy Reapers option is a body in severed armor in rubble, suddenly gasping back to life. It's Shepard waking up. You never made it to the Citadel, Admiral Anderson didn't get there ahead of you, you haven't talked with the Illusive Man or the Reaper Consciousness, those were just visions from the Reapers as they tried their absolute hardest to keep you from getting inside the Citadel, to do what you've known you had to do all along, stop the Reapers. Phew, that was a handful. Anyway, this game explained it pretty well, thank you Genghis Khan. Huh. Anyway, I agree with pretty much all of this except for those two last paragraphs. The waking up and basically saying that the ending just didn't happen. I think that's pretty stupid, because if that was the case, why did we even see everything else? Why is Hackett speaking? Why is the Normandy just fine? Did Bioware actually just make all of them to screw us? And the fact that the final part means that the game didn't even finish, which is stupid. What I think happens is that if you choose control or synthesis, you basically flagged up. And if you choose the destroy ending, you actually destroy every Reaper entity and everything that has Reaper code. But as you can see in the end, you survive by being in basically what is a random part of the Citadel full of rubble that still holds its own atmosphere. That's basically what I believe. The theory believes that he wakes up on Earth, which, unless I'm blind, nothing in this sequence shows he is on Earth. That could just be regular rubble, it could be Bioware being cheap and reusing assets, who knows. All of this to say that this is just a theory, like a conspiracy. The developers themselves went out of their way to say that this was just all fanfic. The reason I believe this theory, again, partially, is because otherwise the decisions in the end are just bad writing, simple as that. Also, I find it funny that if you support this theory somewhat, even at just the bare minimum, they will jump at your throat. The thread where I got that comment is filled with people just insulting each other over a theory on a fucking video game. Like, isn't that insane? People, let others enjoy the game however they want. If they want to create a theory to justify poor writing, let them do it. As long as they aren't assholes about it, why do you care? Welp, we finished the trilogy, and I'm gonna be honest, with all the problems that Mass Effect 1 has, and the problems of Mass Effect 3, even with all of that, I still consider it the king of trilogies. It's pretty much perfect in every way. It's my favorite gaming franchise, and that's never gonna change. It is filled with plot holes across every different media and inconsistencies left and right. But honestly, some of those plot holes are very, let's say, non-important, or very minute. Like for example at the end of Paragon Lost, Vega gets declared an N7, yet he's declared an N7 again in Mass Effect 3. It's things like that that don't really matter. Since the release of Mass Effect 3, we got all the Foundation comics and a bunch of novels, some better than others, but since then everything has been very silent. We got Mass Effect Andromeda in 2017, which it was a game, but since then, nothing. Literally nothing. We got a teaser a couple of years back with Liara finding something, which was obviously a hint towards Mass Effect 4, but Bioware hasn't been the same since Mass Effect 3. It's pretty much just a different company now. They made Dragon Age Inquisition, which did win Game of the Year. Maybe deserved, maybe not, I'm not here to debate that, but the game itself is like a 7 out of 10. And since then, what have they made? They made Andromeda, they made Anthem, which died a year after its release and recently closed servers for good, and they made Veilguard in 2024, which there's 100 videos out there, just watch one, it's complete garbage. So, my hopes for the future of the franchise? Non-existent. Maybe another company will make the next Mass Effect, but if it does come from Bioware, it's not gonna be good sadly. It will be a boring mess with political message behind that nobody wanted like Veilguard, and even then, do we really need a sequel? Some people will say yes, but I'm on the side of no. I'm perfectly fine with the ending we got. Yes, it may be lackluster to some people, but to me, it ended. We defeated the Reapers. Shepard might or might not have died. But do we really need another game? What will they tell us about? Because every major threat has already been dealt with, and even then, whatever they make won't live up to the original trilogy. And I'm 100% sure that even if Drew Karpyshyn returns to write Mass Effect 4, it will still be bad, because it has been 13 years since Mass Effect 3. So yeah, I don't have any hopes for a future game of the Mass Effect franchise, and honestly, that's the stance everybody should have. I don't even think we will get another game, because Veilguard and Anthem were back-to-back failures for Bioware, so they might even close before they finish. And honestly, this might sound cold, I think that would be for the best, because either someone else will do it, which increases the possibilities of the game being good, or it won't be made at all, which might be the better option. And what about the TV show? Well, it having the same people that made the Fallout show might sound good, But it might just be me, but Mass Effect is way harder to adapt than Fallout, and the Fallout show already has some problems, so imagine the Mass Effect show, it's gonna probably suck. So yeah, I also have no hopes there. Anyway, I don't really have much more to say, I'm sure I forgot to talk about some things, but this video is already 3 hours long, and I don't want to bore you anymore. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you managed to get here, I don't know, leave a comment saying what a journey we had, or something, and see you in the next video.